Previously on The 40-Year-Old Boy.
1 million people flank steak. And I said, okay, well, just make sure you get a button shirt for Seth. I'm fucked. I like talking. All right? Oh, no. Flank steak. I actually have to go to New York. Hello. So they're going to Cake Boss in Jersey. I get motion sickness. I'm either going to lose a kidney or I'm going to fucking jail. I buy the seat that I want. Hello. I think I really want to go to Little Italy. So this week, the creature was brought against its will to New York. Next week, we'll hear what happens when it's loose in the city. Why aren't you listening to me? Doesn't anybody ever listen to me? Listen to me? Listen to me? Listen to me? Blame yourselves for this fucking word salad that I just spit all over the goddamn plate. This is all your fault. You and I like to. That's it. I work under the cover of darkness because I don't need the rest of society to look in my eyes and know that is a bad person. Hey, what's happening? Mike Schmidt, 40-Year-Old Boy podcast. Folks, producer wanted. I'm hanging that sign out right now, and anybody who wishes to fulfill it can go ahead and write me at Lily, L-I-L-I, and she'll forward it to me. Is it recording, or you went to fumble with that? Producer wanted, folks. She's making fun of me. She's pointing at me and mocking me. I don't like it. It's not fun. It's not fun to come here and get mocked. I'm mocked already. I'm mocked by everybody, all of you, by the way. Let me go ahead and drop this on you. Let me put this in your lap, folks. What are you doing? You're monkeying with it. It's making me nervous. Folks, I'm pretending now that we didn't stop. We've stopped a couple of times already. Literally in the first 20 seconds, we've stopped this show. Once I retook the beginning, and now we just stopped, and then she looked at it, and she's mad at me now. You are, because I just said to you, she's making this faraway face. You know what a faraway face is, when someone's just kind of gazing into the distance and shaking their head whatever. And so I said, well, what's going on? And she's just it's frustrating. It's just frustrating. I go, why are you mad at me? She goes, I'm not mad. It's just frustrating. I'll tell you if it's working or not working. So I'm like, all right, I'm scolded. That's fine. I've been put in my place by my producer. Have I mentioned producer wanted, folks? Have I mentioned... Because, all right, she wants to be this way. She wants to go ahead and be mean and make a pouty face at me and be angry at me with her musky, sexy scent all over this kitchen. Fine, that's fine if she wants to pull that. But let me tell you this, folks. Here's what happened to me, damn it. Just before the show started, I sit here and we talk and we get ready and we try to figure out things. And then before I go to start, I close my eyes and I look and I go... and I breathe to try. It's for some reason it's a thing that I do. So now she goes, "Are you ready?" And I said, "Yeah." And she's like, "Whatever." And I go, "Okay." And then I hear her. She goes, and I open my eyes and I look at her and she goes, and makes a smirky face at me. That was cute, really? I don't think it was cute. You were mocking me, openly mocking. Mocking.
We had a mutual to get ready.
That's and not the first time. Yeah, but see, folks, that's why I need a producer, one who's just going to do their job and not mock and not make fun. I'm happy with all the rest of the things that she does, but right at the beginning of the show, I need to be mocked and made fun of. That doesn't seem to make sense. So yeah, we've stopped already a couple of times. And I'm thrown off. I'm thrown on my game right now. Do I have a game? I don't have a game. So what the fuck was I going to talk about before I got railroaded by my own Robin, my own Sundance Kid? Literally, it's like if Lily and I were Thelma and Louise and we were driving off the cliff and we held hands, she would hit the brakes and eject me through the top where there's no and stop and go to jail without me. That's she abandons me. She lets me go. Hits the brakes, I fly over because there's it's a convertible. I fall down into the Grand Canyon, and as I'm falling, she leans over and just goes as I stare up at her. God damn it. And then she hangs the whole thing on me. Oh my God, thank God you're here. She fucked Brad Pitt. He fucked? I don't know, whatever the fuck. All right, so I'd fuck Brad Pitt. Why not? Let's go on record with that. Him, Tom Cruise, I don't care. Tom Cruise, oh, dude, there's a billboard right by Lily's house. And that was what I was going to talk about, all right, as my throat gets caught. Folks, when I say that I like something, that doesn't guarantee that you're going to like something. You are aware of that, right? So if I go see the new Mission Impossible movie and I really, really liked it, that doesn't mean, oh, well, I should go see it because Mike liked it and then you're going to love it. No, you might not like the things that I like. Here's another thing. If you decide or you determine once you involve yourself in sort of in the same things that I like, say there's a record I like or a record because I'm old, I'm very old. If there's something I enjoy, food, anything that I like, and you go, well, I'm going to match Mike. I'm going to go ahead and like the same thing, and then you watch it and you don't like it, I'm sorry that happened. You don't have to tell me about it. No one needs to write me a note telling me how bad Mission Impossible was and how stupid I am for liking it. No one needs to write me and tell me how much of a dick Tom Cruise is and how I should hate him. I don't hate him. I love Tom Cruise. I would fuck Tom Cruise. Gladly. Gladly. Even just to make you guys angry, I would do it. Seriously, I would let him fuck me, missionary, so I could look in his eyes the entire time. That's how strongly I feel for Tom Cruise. Do you get that? So sending me your emails telling me how the movie stunk and he's a Scientologist and he jumped on a couch, I could not give a flying fuck. I love the man. Love him. Someone put a picture on my webpage of him sitting on the tallest building in Abu Dhabi or wherever the fuck, like that giant, the tallest building in the world. Tom Cruise is sitting at the very top of it barefoot and like just eating his lunch. Like a mustachioed Italian construction worker in the 1920s building New York. He's just up at the top of the tallest building in a black tee, looking awesome, looking amazingly windswept and gorgeous. And how bad is it? I'm right now, and this is not a lie, my hands are sweating thinking of that picture. A, because Tom Cruise is so hot, and B, because it's so high in the fucking air. I have a height thing that I'm not a fan of, but I can fly. I'm in a plane. If I'm in a death tube, I don't care. It's fine because I'm all encased. But if I was sitting up there, I'd have to leap. I'd have to jump to my death. I'd have to. I get that weird vertigo thing where I want to jump. And to see Tom Cruise just like sitting there barefoot and like leaning back, I can't even imagine. I've seen YouTube clips of like construction workers in Russia who go up to the top of the tall, like literally like 100 stories in the air, and they're outside and they're not tethered to anything. They're just walking and they're repairing like some phone tower or something. And I'm like, dude, I want to jump off of my office chair watching it. I get sweaty, like my hands now, my palms are sweaty thinking about that picture of Tom Cruise. So some guy put that on my wall, and I was like, it was just another reason for me to love Tom Cruise. Except for when I saw it, I was like, no, Tommy, like because I don't want him. He's in danger. He's close to danger there. I don't want that to happen. I don't want him to fall to his death. That would be horrible. Although I got to be honest with you, even if Tom Cruise fell off the tallest building in the world, he would do like some crazy quadruple gainer and then like land on his feet and laugh and toss his hair. And then he'd do the Tom Cruise run and hop into a convertible and speed off. Because he would. Because he's Tom Cruise. Because he's a real-life superhero. Granted, he's the size of an action figure, but I don't care. Don't write me and tell me how much you hate him. I'm glad you hate him, but I have a forum. I have a show. Get your own show and tell me how much you hate Tom Cruise. If I choose to subscribe to your show and listen to it, then I'll care about what your opinion is. But if you hate Tom Cruise, don't fucking write me and tell me I'm wrong. I love the man. Oh, I love the man. I want to cradle him. But you guys with your meanness, your anger, the fucking billboard of him has him in a hoodie. He's in a hoodie and he's still awesome looking. He's still awesome Tom Cruise in a hoodie. God damn it. But you guys write me, oh, Mission Impossible sucked. I don't care. Good for you. Should have saved that $15. You're seeing a movie because some disembodied voice in your iPod vagina told you to see it. Holy shit. Don't hang that on me. That was your choice. Like Lily went and saw The Devil Inside. And last week, she and I watched the Red Band trailer, and we watched it, and we were just kind of scoffing at it, but we were like, I wonder if it's going to be scary. But then she went and saw it, and then she tells me, she's like, it's the worst movie I've ever seen. Did she blame me for making her see it? No, of course she didn't, because she's a grown woman who makes her own decisions. She can decide whether she wants to piss away money on bullshit movies. That's fine. Have you seen Mission Impossible yet?
No.
I can't believe you saw Devil Inside without seeing Mission Impossible.
I don't like Tom Cruise.
Oh, my God. What is wrong with people? I don't get you people at all. At all. How do you hate him? He's enthusiasm in pants. I mean, literally, he's running around. He loves life. He's embracing it. He's a human hug. God damn it, I love that guy. Everything about him is like, great. This is great. Isn't it great? George Carlin used to do a bit about guys. This is great. Isn't it great? You all right? Did you spit soda? God damn it, he's awesome. Tom Cruise is the best. The best. And I love him. The best of you. That's right. I got a confession to make. All right. God damn it, folks. Tom Cruise is awesome. Don't write me. Don't even type it. If you type Tom Cruise's bullshit and go to hit send, don't hit send. Unless you send it to yourself. Don't send it to me because I don't care. I love the man. Same thing with the new Van Halen song. New Van Halen song is out, right? So Van Halen, it debuts Tuesday, and then the video came out. And I'm on record as being the guy who loves Van Halen. It's in the Encyclopedia Britannica under T. The guy who loves Van Halen. Right there, it's picture me. And then right under my face, it says, see also. But the Van Halen song came out Tuesday, and the new album comes out in a month. But they played a surprise concert in New York last week, which I missed by a week. Not that I would have gotten in anyway. But they had their big show, and then they played one new song at the show. But all right, here's the thing. The new song that they played is not really a new song. It was on their demos from '76 when they tried to get signed to Warner Brothers. So they've taken a lot of older music and reincorporated it into the new album, because the new single is called Tattoo, and that's what came out yesterday, but it's also the main riff from a different song from their past. They also have a song called Bullet Head on the new album, which is also an older song. And online, all of these people are pissed off. They're just like, they're furious, and they're oh my God, I can't believe Eddie's recycling this old music to make albums. Oh, it's unbelievable. It's terrible. Dudes, what? He wrote this music when you loved him. He wrote this music back when he was 21. Why can't he use it? He wrote it. He created it. It's okay. And besides, all I hear is everybody bitching about, oh, they're too old. Oh, Mike's not there. Oh, Wolfie's the worst. Oh, well, then did you want him writing music now with Wolfie? Is that what you wanted, with songs written with, I mean, fuck, let him write and use the music that he came up with when he was a kid. That's when you loved him, right? You loved him in 77 and 78. Well, these are songs from 77 and 78 repurposed for fucking 2012. So back off and fucking give it a chance. But no, the internet is always, again, it's either I love this or it's the fucking worst. And because I am in the Encyclopedia Britannica as the guy who loves Van Halen, I am the one who has to get letters from people asking me how much I hate the new song, and how much I hate the fact that they don't have Mike in the band, and how much I hate the fact that Wolfie's there, and how much I hate the fact that they're going ahead and Dave wears a train hat or whatever the fuck he was wearing at the concert. He was wearing overalls and a fucking newsboy cap. And people are like, he's an idiot. Yes, you know why? Because he's David Lee Roth. David Lee Roth is an idiot. He is. That's the whole point. That's why you're into him, all right? Granted, back in the day, I've talked about this before. He could have fucked me a missionary just so I could look him in the eye, absolutely. But now, no. Now I want to have like a coffee with him and hear him tell me ridiculous stories about being an ambulance driver, because he's an idiot. Why are you looking for any semblance of meaning or seriousness out of David Lee Roth? Oh, I can't believe that outfit he was wearing. He's so stupid. Yes, he is stupid. That's why. He's a rock star. He doesn't have to be serious. If he wanted to wear a goddamn clown outfit and spin a pinwheel the entire time he was singing, you would have to just go, well, yeah, he's a rock star. He can do that because he's a fucking rock star. Rock stars can do whatever the fuck they want, and you are just going to sit there and take it because they're rock stars and you're not. You plumber. People are telling me, like, people are writing me notes. They're like, you can't like this, right? Because Mike's not in the band. Look, I love Van Halen. I loved Van Halen when I was a kid. I love Van Halen now. I like Michael Anthony. I'm sure he's a fantastic bass player and a wonderful man. But I don't go to the fucking Van Halen concert to see the bass player. I don't give a shit. I don't. And everybody's like, oh, man, he has a lot of onstage charisma and his backing vocals. And yeah, his backing vocals are fucking amazing. Absolutely. But you know what? Go see Chickenfoot. If you want to see Michael Anthony, go see Chickenfoot. Tell me, I defy you, I dare you, motherfucker, to tell me that you saw Van Halen growing up just because you wanted to see Michael Anthony play his Jack Daniels bass and do a somersault on stage. There's no fucking way. No way. I'm sorry. And look, I loved him when he was in the band, but that band is Eddie Van Halen. The end. The end. And the fact that he's back with Dave is genius, and I love it because you know what? I listened to Tattoo. I listened to that song, and you know what? It sounds like fucking Van Halen. That's right. It sounds like fucking Van Halen. Is it missing Michael's backup vocals? Yeah, maybe. Maybe it is. But so fucking what? Listen to the music and listen to Dave singing. It's Van Halen. Oh my God, Van Halen is back. It sounds exactly like Van Halen. How great is that? And even better is when I'm going to hear these other songs that were from from the 70s. It's going to sound even more like Van Halen. I can't fucking wait. That's all I wanted, was for it to sound like Van Halen. Nobody's listening to that song and going, oh boy, the bass is terrible in this. Nobody gives a shit. Nobody gives a shit at all. At all. It's Alex's drum sound and Eddie's guitar sound. And then Dave just happens to be there singing him, which makes it all fucking perfect. Perfect. And I'm not one of these idiots who's like, oh man, Van Halen with Roth destroyed Van Halen with Hagar. I loved Sammy Hagar and Van Halen. I did. I loved the albums. I loved the songs. I thought it was fucking great. Is it as good as Van Halen with David Lee Roth to me? No. I loved Van Halen with David Lee Roth. Why are you making a face? What's wrong with you? What? Because I'm furious. Because I get notes from people who expect me to go, oh, I hate it. Because online, all these people are like, oh, man, Van Halen. There used to be, some guy wrote online, he's like, you know what? There used to be, I saw a few people write stuff like this. There are people who like Sammy Hagar and Van Halen. There are people like David Lee Roth and Van Halen. Now there's a third group, those who apologize for Van Halen. I'm not apologizing for fucking Van Halen. Van Halen is fucking awesome. You know what? They're 50-year-old men. 55. They're 55-year-old men playing rock music for a living. And they live in giant houses and you don't, motherfucker. You're tapping out your goddamn opinion on Facebook. Look, I recognize that I don't matter. That's the difference between me and a lot of other people. I know I don't matter. I'll spot off a million opinions, and if you want to fucking take them or not, that's great. Don't take them, by the way, and then go see something and tell me how wrong I am. It's just opinions, all right? I like Van Halen. I like Tom Cruise. Holy shit, you know what would be great? If Tom Cruise played bass in Van Halen. Oh, my God. How many tickets do I buy to that show? I just keep buying millions of tickets. That's all I do. I go out and I just fucking hand out hand jobs to try to make enough money to go and see Tom Cruise play bass in Van Halen with his hoodie. Oh my God, Tom Cruise with his hoodie. 5'6", and he's the perfect size for a bass player for Van Halen because then Dave, because Dave's getting an old, now he's long in the tooth and he can't really jump anymore. He could be doing kicks over Tom Cruise's head. Instead of doing the split kick off the drum riser, he just do karate kicks, spin kicks right over fucking Cruise's head. And Cruise just got that huge fucking megawatt grin. They would power the entire show through Cruise's mouth. Just plug Eddie's cabinet into fucking Tom's molars and boom, there you go. They play all night long. So I give you all fair warning. Quit writing me about how much you hate Van Halen. Unbelievable. Because again, you guys are nice and you listen to the show and you all recognize that I love Van Halen, but then they all write me with this weird disappointment like, oh, you got to hate this, right? No, I don't. I fucking love it. I can't wait for it. I bought it at 1 a.m. when it came out on Monday night because I was sitting in that fucking horrible Graveyardville and I got a tweet from Eddie Van Halen, right to me, not to you. It was right to me. Hey, it's available, Mike. He didn't type Mike. He might have. I think he did. He might have in my brain. He did. And I immediately hopped over to iTunes, done, on the phone, done, into my laptop, done, played it 9 times in a row. Learned the words, awful lyrics, because Dave's horrible. Again, David Lee Roth is an idiot. He writes the worst lyrics known to man, but so fucking what? Because you know why? He can write the worst lyrics known to man because he wrote this. He actually wrote this. Blue-eyed murder in a size 5 dress. Done. I don't give a fuck if the rest of his songs was humming and whistling. I don't care if the rest of his songs was him banging on milk jugs with fucking paintbrushes. The man wrote the couplet, blue-eyed murder in a size 5 dress. Done. Fantastic. Winner. Absolutely. He's an idiot. He's an absolute bozy bop nonsense goofball wearing fucking bell bottoms. He tried to do a bluegrass Van Halen thing. He tried to do a Vegas thing. He's fucking retarded. All right? I get that. But I don't give a shit because anytime Dave acts like a fool with his newsboy cap and his fucking overalls and he can't kick as high as he used to and he can't hit the high notes and he has short hair and he talks like an idiot and he tells me he's going to fuck my girlfriend in every single city and he has the same stage pattern, I still think to myself, blue-eyed murder in a size 5 dress. Done. The man never has to do anything else the rest of his life. I'm not even kidding. It's like Tom Cruise. Tom Cruise in Magnolia. Respect the cock on stage, fucking hopping around and acting. Dude, he never has to do anything the rest of his life. And yet he does. And yet he does. He still does so much more awesomeness. So much more brilliance. When Dave wrote Blue-Eyed Murder in a size 5 dress, he should have put his pen down and said, that's it. Done. Never again. And they said, we got 2 more albums to record. Who cares? I'm in. Done. I'm all in with Blue Eyed. He could have recorded, literally, they could have done, because that's on Fair Warning, all right? And it's an Unchained. So they still had Diver Down in 1984 to go. He could have, on those albums, every lyric could have been Blue-Eyed Murder in a size 5 dress. Like, remember I said, welcome to jungle, 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 jungle. If you heard Jump, and he just kept saying Blue-Eyed Murder in a size 5 dress, still a hit with the keyboard riff. I'm trying to sing, now in my head, I'm trying to sing it like I want to sing it like Jump. It's like, but I want to sing Blue-Eyed because the thing is I can't because Jump is so ingrained in my head with the actual lyrics that if I try to substitute in Blue-Eyed Murder, I can't do it like in my brain right now. But if he had recorded it initially with Blue-Eyed Murder in a size 5 dress, then it would be emblazoned in my brain. I guess the bottom line is, folks, it's okay if you think things suck. And I love the fact that you respect me enough to care what I think. But you don't need to write me with, this sucks, right? You know this sucks, right? This sucks. Doesn't it suck? You think it sucks, right? No, I don't. I don't think it sucks. I'm an old man. I'm 44 years old. I grew up with Van Halen. I have been a fan since I was 11. 33 years I've been a fan of that band. And I wasn't about to fucking write them off. I mean, dude, I stuck with them through Gary Cherone. I stuck with them through fucking Eddie Van Halen, holes in his shoes, no teeth, junky, ridiculous long hair, top knot, samurai, weird haircut. I've been there, man. I'm not going anywhere. Eddie Van Halen hugged me in a newsstand. That's it. Done. I was a fan from the time I was 11, and then when I was 30, whatever the fuck, I saw him and he hugged me in a newsstand and we talked for 15 minutes. I'm in for life. I'm in for life. They could flip over to playing, like I said, like weird fucking Moog keyboards and harmonicas and bullshit. They could ask my wife to join the band with her fucking guitar. I don't care. I'm in. Blue-eyed murder in a size 5 dress. Eddie hugs me in a newsstand and my wife's in the band with a harmonica. Done. I don't give a fuck. I'm in. That went over well, by the way, I should mention. My wife listens sometimes, doesn't listen sometimes. She's decided she's on or off. So she didn't listen last week, except she wound up, oh my God, the computer's falling on the ground. Have I mentioned I need a new producer, folks? My producer's leaning back, just like filing her nails, and the laptop almost fell to the ground. So on someone's board, like Karen, I forget, on her Facebook page, she wrote something about a dinner or a hamburger. I don't know what the fuck. And one of you, wonderful people, went and typed, "At least you better not cook flank steak." Ha, 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 ha.
Oh, no.
And she comes up to me and she's like, some guy wrote something weird on my Facebook page. And I'm like, what is it? And she tells me it's about flank steak. And I go, oh. She goes, "Did you talk about flank steak on the show?" I said, yes.
Oh, shit.
She's like, "Oh, I have to listen to it." I go, "Oh, okay. If you want to, go right ahead." Well, all right. If it's something you think you must do, so then I guess she did not find the time, which is good. But then today I was in the, I woke up to get ready to come here, and she comes up to me and she goes, "I saw that cartoon that David made." And I said, "What?" And she goes, something about a college student shouldn't have a guitar, or unless you're trying to get laid. And now my wife has a guitar, and I was like, "Oh yeah." And she's like, "Did you talk about me having a guitar on the show last week?" I said, "Yeah, I think I might have mentioned it." "Oh, I should listen to it." I said, "Sure. If that's something you think that you want to do, go ahead and enjoy yourself. Go ahead and hit play, and maybe you'll hear something about it. I don't know if that's it." And I just trailed off. So Max, thanks. You went ahead and reignited the controversy. She's just like, but she laughed about it, and she's like, "Oh, it's like John Belushi." And I go, "Yes, that's what I did. I compared you to John Belushi. You shouldn't listen. No more listening." But then, so then she was busting my balls about that, and so I got in the shower, and as I'm in the shower, shaving, and she comes in with the guitar, and decides to play music while I'm in the shower and sing songs about what a dick I am, and she's singing, and she's making up words about me in the shower, and that whole nonsense, and then finally I said, "Hey, I have a song," and she goes, "All right." And she's like, and she's of course tunelessly strumming, like bling bling bling. It's awful. I said, "Keep playing." It's like, "It's fine. I'll catch up." And she's like, bling 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 bling. And then I said, "If Jesus himself came to earth and turned death into music, that's what I'd be listening to now." Which is catchy. That's catchy, right? We can all admit that. Particularly from a naked guy covered in suds. That's not a bad song. And she like literally, she's like bling bling bling, and then I wrote that, and she's like plonk, she hits the wrong note. She's like, "You're mean," and I said, "Oh, come on, admit it, you're terrible." I kept showering.
Oh my God.
And I tell you what, that she picked the perfect time, and yet the most horrible time to come in and sing, because I had a razor blade right at my throat. And in my head, I'm just like, literally, if you went fucking sideways instead of up and down, this is over. You don't have to hear this fucking song anymore, ever. Just put in, like, literally, you'd hear the song, bling, 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 and you see it. Done. But then everything's fine. Everybody's fine. And then, I came here today and found a parking spot immediately downstairs.
Woo!
Yes, and then I I immediately told a hobo to stop dancing.
What? What is wrong with you?
Well, first of all, you're a hobo. Stop dancing. Hobos don't dance.
Yes, they do.
No, shouldn't.
Happy people.
Incorrect. There was a parking spot close to your house. There were a couple, actually, and I was like, well, I'll turn around and get that one, but then I saw one much closer to your house. I went to get it. Unfortunately, the impediment to my parking there was a hobo breakdancing in the spot, like in the street, not just on there's a full sidewalk there. He could be dancing there. he looked like the lead singer of the Spin Doctors. You might have seen this guy downstairs. He's got tattoos all over his arms, baggy cargo pants, and a beanie. And I'm not sure if he was a hobo or just dressed like a hobo, just portraying a hobo on television. But he was doing dance moves, like crazy, fierce, hopping around dance moves. And so I pulled up and I'm looking at him and he's got his earbuds in, and then he looks up at me and I go, I'm parking there. And he's just like, okay. And he, shuffles off to fucking Buffalo into the alley. And then I parallel park and I make sure my car is fine. And then as I get out, he's standing there and he's looking at his iPod. And he doesn't glance up. And then I look at him and I go, hey, I'm sorry. And he looks at me and I said, I'm sorry. And he takes his earbuds out. I go, I'm sorry. I had to park. And he goes, no worries. And he puts his hand out. And of course, I then gave him 5 and then gave him a fist bump and kept walking. And then I realized I didn't put the thing in my mirror to tell the world that I'm supposed to park here. So then I turned around and I went back to my car. And I put the thing in the mirror, and as I turned back, he's dancing in the street close to my car, but not in the same spot. And I will be honest with you, folks, he was doing moves that I can do. Like there's this thing I can't explain it, but you'd have to see me do it. But it's always, all right, remember the Running Man, the weird Running Man? All right, he's kind of doing that, but he's doing it in place. Well, I mean, the Running Man is in place, but he's not. And then he's like doing this weird shuffle. So I, of course, because I'm an idiot. He's dancing, and I put the thing in the mirror, and I go to walk by, and he's there, and he's got his earbuds on, and he's spinning around, and so I danced with him for just like a second, like he was doing his moves, and then I did my moves, like the same kind of thing, like, and I'm holding like a cooler and a fucking protein shake, and I just start dancing, and he's dancing, and he can't see me, of course, because I'm behind him. But then I just hear someone just go, ah, ha, 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 ha. And I look, and someone on the balcony of the hotel is watching, and they think it's hilarious. And I don't know if they're laughing with me because we're all having a good time, if they're laughing at me and my bizarre dance moves. But I'll tell you what, I was pulling it off. Even without music. He's got earbuds in. That guy's, that hobo has earbuds in, and he's pulling out his tunes, but I'm just there dancing. I'm dancing to the music of life. That's what I'm dancing to, goddammit. I'm following that hobo's lead. And let's be honest, in my life, that's all I do is I'm following the hobo's lead, and eventually it will lead me to hobodom. So that's the long con of my following the hobo's lead. But in the short con, I let the hobo dance, and I just followed right behind him. I was dancing, and thoroughly entertained some Frenchmen on a balcony. Because he saw me. It's an invitation across the nation, a chance for me and a hobo to meet. Because I was there. I was dancing. I was dancing in the streets. We're swinging and swaying. There's a record playing. I'm dancing in the streets. Philadelphia, PA. You understand what I'm talking about. Baltimore and D.C. now, of course you know. See, it all gets back to Van Halen, folks. Blue-eyed murder in a size 5 dress. See, just like that, right? In the same tune. That Frenchman was enjoying himself. It was just me dancing. And you know what? Honestly, that's probably what a Frenchman thought America was. Really? Before he even got on the plane, he's like, I cannot wait to go to the Los Angeles to see the Disneyland, to see the mouse with the ears, and the Hollywood with the stars on the ground. And, oh, the essence of America, the fat guy dancing with the hobo in the street. Because I'm obese, there's a hobo, it's like the economy crashed. Literally, that was America encapsulated for that. I'm sure that Frenchman laughed, packed, and went to his plane. He's like, that's it. I've seen everything I need to see. I've seen that right there is America. A fat guy dancing with a hobo in the streets.
Number 23.
Bravo, termite! I am Yeep, herald to Thorgar, hell's most ferocious torturer, barbarous soldier of Abaddon. We...
Take a number.
A number? Such insolence! Thorgar will enjoy flaying the skin from your back with his fanged whip, bathing in your...
Look, I own this deli. You want to eat, you got to take a number.
You dare! Very well, Thorgar.
24. 25. 26. 26.
Right here. I am Yeep, herald to Thorgar! The foul one requires nourishment. Fetch him the head of a virgin hog, its jowls stuffed with the entrails of aborted infants, whose unheard screams of misery provide extra sustenance for the long journey ahead.
Look, we got sandwiches or soup.
Enough! We tire of these delays! Know that your impertinence has ensured that all who bear the name Schlotsky are doomed to an afterlife of violation in the ash pits of Thorgar's dominion! Fire imps will be set loose in the ears of all in your bloodline, eating their way through the brains of the accused! Male Schlotzkys will have their cocks devoured by spider mites, while the females will be used as eternal breeders, all of their holes constantly filled with the seed of hell's most terrifying brutes. Their agony will be our triumph, as the unholy monsters who continually fall from their diseased uteri will ultimately follow Thorgar into heaven and slay God himself. From this day forth, all of hell's demons will carry the name Schlotzky. Your fate is sealed. Yes, I believe I saw Blimpies one block over, Thorgar. We can stop there on the way to the... Yes.
Spent a lot of time yelling in the first half of this show, folks. First half, by the way, that's optimistic. It was 30 minutes. If I only talk for 30 more minutes, then which I should. I mean, honestly, I should. We've talked about that, but I think it's also been established that I enjoy speaking to you folks. It's actually in the cold open of today's show. If you listen closely, you'll hear me proclaiming how much I enjoy speaking or talking. How'd you like that open? Cut and put together by Lily Von Stupp in like 9 minutes it took her. Because I showed up and I go, I have this idea and I don't know if it's a lot of work that you're probably not going to want to do. And she's like, oh my God, it's like 6 additional hours to the 8 hours it usually takes me. I said, well then forget it. We can just scotch it. And she's like, oh, okay. Well, if you only wanted to do this, I go, well, that's what I wanted to do. I just wanted to have, cut and paste things from last week's show. She's like, oh my God, I can do that in 15 minutes. I don't know how it went from 6 hours to 15 minutes, but it did. And then I sat here, watched her do it, like blazed through it. She blazed through it, put it all together. So, and then I spent a half an hour not even acknowledging it or talking about the thing that I was going to talk about. She's like, you should jump right into the story. And I'm like, I plan on it. But then just before I went on the air, she made fun of me and see what happened.
Yeah.
She took me off in a completely different tangent than you folks with your hate mail. Not hating me, but hating things that I enjoy. And I rise to the bait. I rise to the occasion. I take the bait. I take the occasion. I do all those things. I rise to the bait, right? That's what it was. I was right. Or I take the occasion, which I like to say. Oh my God, that was a horrible noise.
I know.
Are you ripping hair out? Why? She just ripped hair out of her head and it made a weird noise. Especially, and believe me, I'm the wrong guy to be tearing hair out in front of because I'm just like, no, save it, no. Someday you'll miss it.
Bad hair.
No such thing.
Yeah.
All hair is good hair. If it stays in your head. All hair is good hair, folks. All hair is good hair. I'm whispering. All right, so that's not going to be the name of the show. She's actually writing all hair is good hair. It has no reference point whatsoever. I will never even reference it again at all.
Sure.
So now it's funny because I have this daunting, now I have to do the show. Nobody wants to hear the show. In the beginning when I'm bitching about Van Halen, it's like, yeah, all right. And then you're like, hey, we're right at this one. I'm like, oh my God, I got to talk about New York. I haven't even talked about New York yet. Folks, I don't know if you remember. I was spirited away on a plane to New York. I was compelled to go. I was called there. I rose to the bait for $6,000 and made the scene. Someone actually paid for the pleasure of my company. I was a concubine. I'm a New York concubine. And when last we left our hero, and yeah, I don't think I'm exaggerating when I call myself your hero. I was on a plane steaming to New York. That seems weird. Why would it steam? It was flying to New York. It was in the air. We were in sun. I wasn't on a slow boat to New York, although I was sitting next to an Asian. Yes, I was on a slow boat to New York via Asians. All right, so via Asians. That doesn't make any sense. I'm tired. I am tired, folks. I haven't been sleeping. I've had a lot of, you know what? New York mucked up my sleep schedule. I'm about to get to why. Because regular people do things in the early hours. Why? I don't understand it. All right. Last week, I was telling you about our friends Brandy and Seth and the fact that they wanted me to come to New York and join them. And actually, Seth didn't. Brandy did. Brandy wanted me to come to meet her, to meet Seth, who likes me, and Brandy, who knows who I am. She knows I'm a guy that Seth likes. So she's like, all right, we got to get you. We got to hire you to come out here. And I'm like, if you're really serious, fine. And then she was, and then I was stunned. And then I bought plane tickets and hotels, and I told you all of this last week. Now, last thing I told you was I was on a plane with a guy from New Zealand, and then I went to sleep. So I will tell you that I slept basically through the night on the plane. I was not awakened by New Zealand. Awakened? I was not awakened by New Zealand. Not awoken. Awoken is a bad word. It doesn't make any sense. I was not awakened by New Zealand. He just let me sleep, thankfully, as I just sat there and oozed into his seat. And I slept, and there was turbulence. Dude, look, I can sleep anywhere. All right, I don't give a shit. I put on my iPod, and it's funny because I listen to music, and it keeps getting interrupted. A lot of times, you know, I'll wake up and there's a guy talking to me, and I don't even care because my earbuds are on. I just ignore everybody. But occasionally I'll get interrupted. But I was not on this flight. I slept. Turbulence happened, and I ride through it. To me, turbulence is actually kind of fun. It's like the only time turbulence wakes me up is when I wake up to go wee. And then I'll tell you, that does not make people happy, by the way. Bad flyers do not enjoy it when you go wee during turbulence. I didn't even wake up for apple juice and Sky Biscuits. Yeah, I just crashed. I was on United. I don't know if they give Sky Biscuits. Whatever. Or no, I was on Delta on the way there. No, United on the way there, and then American on the way home. And now you know the planes I took. Who cares? I'm worn out. I don't know why. I'm worn out just from the first 30. I can't. And I'm sitting here because we've sat here for another, what was it, about 25 minutes in between. And Lily had to read an article from a guy, and then she had some business, but only because I was sitting here just staring. And I'm like, do whatever you got to do, because I got to fucking reconnoiter for the second half of the show. Second half, well, half again being used very loosely. Used loosely. I said that right? I didn't want to say loosed usely. That would be terrible. I might have to cut it out if I did something like that. That'd be ridiculous. No, it's loosely. It's hold on loosely, but don't let it go. If you cling too tightly, folks. All right. I'm quoting 38 Special, and I don't want any notes from people. 38 Special is awful. I don't care. I really don't. First concert I ever saw. Actually, I saw them. I saw 38 Special with REO Speedwagon. That was great. High Fidelity. And then I had no idea who 38 Special was. And then it's like, remember I mentioned I liked Van Halen since I was 11? Okay, that's true. You know what? Before I even heard Van Halen that I can remember, I just liked the logo. Like some kid had it in school and I saw it on and so I kept drawing it. I really got to like something if I'm drawing it, because I can't draw a fucking thing. I awful. I draw a stick figure and I have to draw a frown on him because he's sad at the way he looks. Terrible. I have no art skill whatsoever. Except for the paintings that I do every week for the show. What if that was the case? What if there was no Mex? I made him up. I made up another friend just so I could have some friend to call my own. I have an imaginary friend who does all the artwork for the show. That's how desperate I was to have another friend. I stiff-armed my own art talent and put it off onto an invisible guy. Oh, I'm great. All right, so what was I talking about? I was on a plane. All right, speaking of, it's a helicopter. I was not on a helicopter, folks. I did not take a helicopter to New York. I think you got to stop and refuel a couple of times at that point, right? And that's got to be cold. Oh, my God, that's got to be freezing in a helicopter to go to New York. Those aren't, like, locked down, are they? Have you ever been on a helicopter? No? All right. Hi, folks. Have you ever been in a helicopter? Write me and tell me it sucks. Because then I can say it's great and I love it. Anything I like, you guys are like, boo. Literally just type out boo and send it to me. All right. So I flew to New York, and I was heading into JFK. I get to JFK, and we deplane, do all that stuff. New Zealand is very nice. He's like, he wishes me a fantastic stay, shakes my hand. I'm like, thank you, New Zealand. He walks off. And I grab my bag, and I walk out, and I head into the terminal. And we got there. It was I got there super early because then I flew the red eye. It's like 7 a.m. And the airport was not super hopping, but it's still busy. It's fucking New York. So I'm walking around, and they've got, and you know, that thing happens where it's a different city, so I immediately start looking for New York stuff on the walls, and I'm just trying to identify exactly where I am, making sure I'm in the right place. And I have to go to the baggage carousel and get my stuff. And I head down to the baggage carousel, and there's New Zealand, and he's like, hey, his new friend is back, and he wants to talk to me at the fucking baggage carousel. Enough, New Zealand, honestly. Because look, I didn't talk to him for 5.5 hours. He's got 5.5 hours of stored conversation ready to dump on me. And I'm sure it's all about koalas, or Maoris, or wallabies, or Vegemite, whatever the fuck those people talk about. Look, I know Australia is New Zealand. Fine, you people getting angry at me, doing your weird dance. All right, so I wait there for my baggage, and then the baggage comes out, and I have to grab a cab into Manhattan, and it's 7:15, 7:30 at this point. And in my head, I grab my bag, and I roll over, and I look out for the cabs. And folks, I was in New York over the summer, and I took a cab from the airport And it's like $60 flat, plus you got a tip. So, and in addition to that, by the way, it's not only $60 and a tip, but you also vomit at the end of the cab ride. Maybe you don't, but I do, because I was in I climbed in this guy's cab. If you didn't hear it, it was earlier in the run. Go ahead and buy year 4, which isn't out yet. But earlier this year, I talked about being in a New York cab ride, and it was like being in the car chase in To Live and Die in L.A. Like, this guy's William L. Peterson, and he's like got one foot on the brake, one foot on the fucking gas. By the way, that's Sammy Hagar, too. and I Can't Drive 55. He's got one foot on the brake, one foot on the gas. There's too much traffic. He can't pass. No! Sammy lurks again. He pops back in. I like Sammy. All right. So I see the cab line outside, and I remember the last time I went, I was vomiting. And I like New York. I like being in the city. So in my head, I go, you know what? What if I tried to take a subway from the airport to the hotel? Because I don't especially know where the hotel is. I just have the address. And but I do know that taking a cab is a non-starter because it's fucking 7:30 in the morning and it's going to be traffic and I don't want to throw up, folks. I don't want to puke. I didn't eat anything on the plane, as I've mentioned. I didn't even have Sky Biscuits. It's going to be me fucking dry heaving in the lobby of some hotel somewhere. I'm not prepared for that. So I sit down amidst another gaggle of Asians who are also, I haven't seen this many Asians since I was in, I was going to say Asia, but I was never in Asia. I was in Hawaii like a few years ago, and the weirdest thing, it was like Pearl Harbor Day. I went to Hawaii to see U2 and Pearl Jam, but there was also like a big marathon, and half the people in the marathon are Japanese, and it was Pearl Harbor weekend that this happened. And they're all taking pictures. I can't even... And it was so funny because there were people at my hotel griping about all the Asians who were going out to the Pearl Harbor Monument and taking photos and stuff. And I'm just like, what do you care? It's not like they're out there doing a touchdown dance. I mean, Jesus Christ. It is still a historical site. It's okay if they go. I mean, it wasn't them who bombed it. You're aware of that, right? It may have been Japanese people, but it wasn't those Japanese people. But whatever. People are so angry. So, but there was a gaggle of Asians at the airports. I went and I sat among them. By the way, you know what? I think it's a pride of Asians. Hold on. I think... I was sitting amongst a pride of Asians, and I got my phone out. And let me tell you something, folks. The greatest invention in history, right now up to this point. Fuck cars, fuck steam engines, fuck planes, fuck the very plane that got me from L.A. to New York in 5.5 hours. The greatest invention is a computer that you can hold in your hand and find anything you fucking want to find. Anything at all. Because I sat down and I just started punching in I put in the maps, I put in my address, and I put in where I was at and where I was going. And then you hit the transit. There's a little thing on your iPhone map. It tells you transit, and it tells you like what to take, like trains to take and where to go and where to walk. You don't even have to be a human being anymore, folks. Your phone owns you. It tells you what the fuck to do. You can just stare at it and just like slack-jawed drool all over yourself, and you'll still get to where you're fucking going. It's awesome. You could be a hobo dancing in the street, and you still... would know exactly where you were going to go as long as you had a cell phone in your hand, an iPhone, or even, I guess BlackBerry still works, but fuck you people. All right. It's over. Its rim is going out the window. Just get an iPhone. Join the rest of us, will you? Or an Android or whatever the fuck. I don't care. Get something that I have. Do what I do. I'm great. Because now I'm sure I'm like, get an iPhone. People write me, your iPhone stinks. The Android is best. Van Halen blows. Shut up. You naysayers and your ignorant fingers. Typing meanness and hitting send. Don't you know I'm a person? All right. So I get there and I sit down amidst the pride of Asians and I'm looking at my phone and it tells me how to go where I'm going. And I got it's like it says it takes an hour and 15 minutes to get from the airport to my hotel via subway /LIRR. Folks, that's the Long Island Railroad. And it's like, all right, just go ahead and walk out here and then cross. And so I said, fuck it. I'm doing it. I'm not going to take a cab. I'm going to be an adventurous guy. This is a weekend in New York where I'm going to live like a New York dude. I'm going to say yes to everything this weekend. And that was, I decided. I go, I'm saying yes to everything that happens this weekend. And I actually said that to Seth and Brandy later. I go, I'm saying yes to everything this weekend. I hope I don't run into any transsexuals. Because, that would be awkward. Yep, really awkward if I ran into a transsexual. I hope that doesn't happen. I actually wound up twittering that later, and then I twittered that joke, and I actually wrote, please retweet at the bottom of it, like, hope I don't run into transsexuals. Yep, that would be awkward. I hope it doesn't happen. Really? Please retweet. And then a bunch of people retweeted it, but then a bunch of people actually wrote me, and there's like, what is, oh man, that's disgusting. Like, is that a joke? Oh my God, kill yourselves. I decided I was going to start writing jokes on Twitter, and then like I wrote like 3 or 4 jokes, and people wrote me then to criticize those jokes, and I went, I'm not going to write any more jokes on Twitter. I'm fucking hilarious. Stop criticizing me, dicks. Instead, Twitter to me is now a one-sided conversation where, like, all week people write me responses, and then I take one day to answer all of those responses. That's it. Twitter is a walkie-talkie I use once a week. You people are on the other end all week long going, hello, over, hello, over, Charlie Tango Cash, over, and then every Wednesday night I come in and I answer all those Charlie Tangos and Cashes. All right. So I got to take the train. And I decided I'm a New Yorker, man. I'm going to be a New Yorker this weekend. So I walk past the cabbies. I stride out of the Pride of Asians. Got my jaw jutted in the air as they stare at me, and they're like, he looks like a real New Yorker. They didn't say it like that. They had trouble with the R's, but it doesn't matter. So I walked through, and I walked past the cabbies as they pleaded me with their eyes. Just, sir, we want some more, sir. Bring you a ride, sir. No. I don't know who those cabbies are, by the way. I don't know these female children. Yes, there were 7-year-old girls driving us. Please, sir, we give you a ride, sir. All right. But I walked over to the little subway house, and then they had a elevator up to the train place, and I went up to the train place, and I walked in. There's only like 2 dudes in there, and I'm like, oh, I hope this is right. But then there's signs, and it's telling you the R is coming here, and the L is going here, and the E, and whatever the fuck, and then there's a train that's heading to Jamaica Gardens or whatever, and there was one lady working. And I said, hey, I'm looking for, and because she saw me when I walked in. Look, I tried to be a New Yorker, but pulling a suitcase and looking wide-eyed in the air, like looking around, that indicated I probably wasn't a New Yorker. And she immediately goes, can I help you, sir? And I said, yeah, I'm looking for the train to Jamaica, whatever. She goes, it's on this side. It'll be here. It comes every like 7 minutes. I go, great. And so the Long Island Railroad, the train pulls up, and a bunch of people get off, and then me and the other 2 people get on. And I wanted to sit down, and it was empty. The train was pretty empty. And this is a train. This isn't a subway. This is an actual train for the Long Island Railroad. And I have a big suitcase with me. So I'm dragging it down the aisle, and I find there's plenty of seats. Well, I sit down in the seat, but unfortunately, there's nowhere to put my bag. There's no overhead thing, and it's a big suitcase. So I looked at it, and I sat down, and I said to myself, you know what? Apparently, I thought it was a good idea to just leave it in the aisle. That's what I did. I went ahead and placed it right in the aisle next to where I was sitting. And the conductor comes down, which is amazing to me, that all of a sudden now I'm in the Polar Express. I mean, I haven't been on this in forever. I'm going to Christmastown. And this guy walks down, and he's like, tickets. And so I give him my ticket, and he goes, do me a favor. He goes, you need to take this. You can't leave it in the aisle here. And I go, well, do you want me to put it on the seat? He goes, no, it's too big. Do me a favor. And which actually cracked me up, because like I'm 6'2", 320 pounds. I'm in the seat. I don't think it's that big if I laid it across on a bench seat like next to me, because I should have done that instead of just leaving it in the aisle. But he's like, no, do me a favor. He goes, you know what? You can actually take it and go sit in a handicap seat. I said, really? And he goes, yeah, it's right there. You can't miss it. It's a huge bench, and you'll be able to slide it in. It's fine. There's a lot of room. I said, all right. So he takes my ticket, he bumps it, and I stand up, and I go and I sit in the handicap seat, and I pull in, and he's right. It was roomy. It was roomy as all hell. And again, there's nobody else on the train. And then he comes over to me and he goes, hey, I got to tell you, if you're exiting, where are you exiting? And I said, Jamaica, or wherever the fuck I was exiting. And he's like, all right, you got to leave through the first 2 cars, because these cars don't empty. All right, you got to walk to the front car. Is that fine? I'm like, well, yeah, I got to get off the train anyway. Yeah, that's fine. He's like, okay, that's fine. So he walks up and he takes more tickets. And I'm riding on the train, and I'm 7. Because it's like I'm on a train in the morning, and there's sun, and then there's brownstones, and there's all sorts of fucking graffiti. And I'm like, I'm in fucking New York. This is amazing. And, I'm on a choo-choo. Awesome. And we hit a stop, and some people get on, some people get off. We hit another stop. Some people get on, some people get off. We hit the 3rd stop, and I see him on the platform. All right, I see him as we pull up with the train. And in my head, I just go, oh, this is going to be bad. I knew. For some folks, I have a 6th sense for bad. All right? I bring it with me wherever I go, because I always know. I know something bad is going to happen. When I see it about to unfold, I can think 5 steps ahead. I'm bad in the future. All right, I already know bad is coming. So we pull up, and I see this dude, and he's full of crutches. He's just a guy on the platform with crutches, and the train's like shh. The train did not tell me to be quiet. The train does the brakes. That's the brakes. Why am I impersonating a train on this show, folks? The train's. So it stops, and I'm sitting there again, 7 years old, feet dangling, giant fucking booth, huge suitcase, And Crutchy McCrutch gets on the fucking thing and he hobbles over and he turns the corner and he sees me in the handicap spot. All right. And I knew he was coming, so I was prepared for it. I'm ready, folks. I'm chivalrous. I'm about to stand up and about to put my complete jacket over a puddle for this fucking hop along Cassidy. I'm ready to do it. You can sit here because it's your chair. I'm only keeping it warm for you, Crutchy. So he turns the corner and he sees me and I look up and I go, hey, do you want to sit down? And he goes, oh, don't bother. Like literally screams at me like he's disgusted that I'm in his handicap spot and he goes, oh, don't bother. And he hobbles off. And fuck you, quite frankly, because I mean, I tried. I saw you outside. I was all ready, and I'm only in this seat because the conductor told me to sit here with my giant suitcase. I'm crippled with giant suitcase, all right? And even worse is this guy, he's not even crippled with crippling stuff, all right? He's got a fucking cast on. He's not, he doesn't have polio. He's not Tiny Tim. He's not one of the Cratchit boys that has to go get a fucking turkey in the window for Scrooge. No, fuck that. This guy is a guy in a cast, and he's going to throw crippled attitude at me. Dude, if you want to have cast attitude, that's one thing. I can accept that. But crippled attitude? Fuck you, martyr cripple. And I offered right there. You want to sit down? Don't bother. And he fucking stomps off. And then, of course, he makes it even worse by like tripping and falling and grabbing the... All right, maybe he didn't trip and fall for my benefit. Maybe he tripped and fell because it was a small space. Who cares? I think he's putting on a show. He's putting on a fucking I'm crippled show when in reality he should be putting on an I'm in a cast show. And he's in the cast of the I'm in a cast show. And it's not even my fault I'm in the handicap spot. Conductor made me get there. He made me sit there. Speedy McFeely walked down with his little hat on, his little pipe hat, and he fucking punched my ticket and told me to sit over there. And I'm sure somewhere on the train he's watching me on some closed-circuit television laughing his ass off because he knows every day at this stop they pick up the crippled guy and he just wants to fuck with him because he's a dick. And now I'm his bulldozer. I'm the conductor's bulldozer to fuck with crippled Joe. God damn it. Why did I fall for it, folks? I could have been sitting in my seat with all this because I put my suitcase in the aisle. If I would have picked it up and put it on the chair or slid it over, that would have been fine. But no, instead, I followed the conductor's advice. I go and I sit down, and then I got to get fucking yelled at by a guy in a cast. Yeah, that's right, guy in a cast. I don't even call you a cripple anymore. You're a guy in a... You're just hopping. That's it. You're temporarily hopping. That's who you are. You're not crippled. You're 6 weeks of hopping. That's all you are. You're strong arms and hopping for 6 fucking weeks. Don't even give me a fucking attitude. And by the way, I should say this. I recognize that I'm wrong here. Again, I'm in the handicap spot. I know that I'm wrong. I should let this guy sit down. But I offered. I looked at him and said, hey, you want to sit down? Don't bother. Dick. Which, by the way, makes me wonder if his lungs were on crutches. It was the worst voice. Awful. All right. So I sit there and he flops down and he's breathing heavy and being an asshole. But then I should tell you this. The other people who've gotten on the train now hate me. Hate me because I took the handicap seat and didn't give it up for crippled Wilson, cast Wilson, guy in a cast Wilson. All right. So they're just eyeballing me and they're furious. And also I got to be honest with you, I don't know if they're doing that because I'm in the handicap spot and I made that guy sit somewhere else, or if they're just New Yorkers and they're just angry because they're up early and they're riding a train. I mean, quite frankly, for me it's an adventure. For them, it's every fucking day. So we drive through, we go down, we keep it in spots and stops, and people get off, people get on, people get off. Crippled Joe is just fucking breathing, and I'm sitting there, I'm waiting, and no other cripples got on. Unfortunately, nobody else in a cast got on. And then we finally hit the end of the road for me, and I have to transfer. And I should tell you this was weird. When I took the train, I didn't have to pay. When I looked at my phone, it said it was $8 for that ride, and then I was gonna have to take the subway for $2.50. Whatever. It was going to work out to be like $16 to get me to my hotel. But I didn't pay. I snuck onto the train, which was weird because then I had to take a ticket to get into the station, but I didn't have to pay for it. It was fucking weird. So that's why when the guy said tickets and he biffed it with his little clipper, he didn't say anything. So I'm like, dude, I'm totally riding for free on the train, which made me even happier about fucking over the crippled guy. I'm like, haha, take that, buddy. I saved $8 and fucked you out of a seat. I was not proud of that, folks. Again, it was not something I tried to do. I tried to give it back to him. Please don't judge me. Don't write me a note. Dear sir, have you heard the new Van Halen song? Why, it's the musical equivalent of a fat man sitting in a handicap stall and forcing a cripple to stand up for a train ride. Good. Sounds like it's right up my fucking alley. I'll buy 3 copies of it. Oh, Christ. That made me laugh. All right, so... Dear sir... Slides the fucking typewriter over because, again, he's typing me. So I drive on the train. I ride. I'm not driving. And then we come to the final stop. And this is the final get off. And so I'm in I don't even know what car I'm on, but I have to go to the front 2 cars. So I just have to walk all the way up. And so I stand up, and other people stand up, and they did it on purpose. I knew they did. They stood aside and they let me go because they I think there was an experiment. Like they wanted to see what I would do, but because there were 3 seats in front of me with people in them, and they just let me get out. And I took my suitcase, and the crippled guy got up, and he's fucking just staring a hole through my head, and I'm just like, after you, and he hobbles out. I guess it was like a test to see if I would let him out. But he hobbles out in front of me, and then, look, I was trying to be nice, but it was a fucking mistake because now he's in his cast, and he's trying to get through all that. He's got to open the doors, and I'm behind him. He should just let me go, right? At that point, shouldn't the handicap guy go, you should go ahead? You already took my chair. I respect you for your bullying ways. Why don't you just go ahead right now? But instead, he's in front of me, so I've got to hobble behind him. And now, as he's going super slow, in my head, I'm going, this is the last stop, but are they going to drive away, and am I going to miss getting off? Because in the other cars, there's other people getting off too. So, and it turns out I'm in like the 8th car. So I've got to go through 7 cars to get to the first car or the second car to get off. And every time I would get to a new car, there would be people lined up at the door. So we would stop and I would get in that line. And then they would announce only the first 2 cars are deboarding. And again, I didn't know where I was. I was in this endless train. So then everybody would like back off and they'd go through, and then we'd go to the next car and we'd all line up, and then they'd give the announcement, only the first 2 cars are deboarding. So it finally took, and again, between the crippled guy and all the angry New Yorkers and everything, it took me about, I would say 10 minutes to get off the train. So we get all the way to the front, and then I get off the train and I have to find my way into the studio, the station. And when I get in there, I have to buy a ticket for the actual subway, because now I'm going to take the subway. And I walk in, and I buy the subway. There's like a Metro card or whatever, and I go to swipe it, and the guy won't let me through. And the guy looks at me and he goes, "What do you got there?" And I hold up a Metro card, and he goes, "Well, where's your LIRR ticket?" I said, "What do you mean?" I go, "It's here." And he goes, "Okay, well you got to put it in redeem it in the machine." I said, "I don't." The guy already punched it on the thing, and he goes, "Yeah, you got to pay for it." So I don't get this system at all. They let me ride the train for free, but then I have to pay to leave the station.
Yes.
So I mean, I could ride trains all day if I wanted to, I guess, with these tickets, but unfortunately, I could never leave. You know where I am? I'm in the subway, California. I can ride trains all I'd like, but I can never leave. So I had to go over and get in a line behind a pride of Asians as they're trying to figure out the machines. And also the machines are in Asian, like you can hit the button and all the characters come up and stuff. And I'm waiting because I'm trying to hustle and catch a train. And again, when you're not from New York, in your brain, you're like, holy fuck, I got to get this train. I'm going to miss this train. I got to get this train. These trains come by every 4 minutes. You find that out eventually. But when you're first doing it, I'm staggering. I got a suitcase. I'm in line behind these Asians. I'm freaking out. But then eventually, I wind up getting to the front and I pay and I swipe through and you get through and you see the thing on the wall. And I had to take like the R, I think. I don't know what the fuck I had to take. But regardless, it came every 4 minutes. I wasn't going to be missing it anytime soon. So I got on the subway, or it was it subway? Yeah, I think it was. It was another subway. No, I had to go down the stairs. No, it was another LIRR. So I had to go down and take the LIRR. And folks, I'm sorry, I should have written this down. And so I took that train, and that train I had to stand up actually. And then I got to the subway and I had to pay for that. And there was an exchange and a Metro card and all this other bullshit. It was just, and that one I got lost because, I've got my phone. My phone is telling me where to go, but then when you get down into the subway, you lose your signal. So I don't know where the fuck. I had no idea what train I was supposed to get to. So now I'm going up to, and there's a bunch. I should tell you this: it's New Year's weekend in New York. So I get into the station, and there's a central hub, and there's like 5 different directions I can go to different stations and take different trains. And I'm like, holy shit, where am I going? So the place is crawling with TSA agents, which I found surprising because I thought they only lived at the airport. But especially during New Year's, they're down in the subway because they're looking for any suspicious assholes. Well, you want to know who's a suspicious asshole, folks? A guy who walks in carrying a huge suitcase and looks over and goes, "Hey, how do I get to the World Trade Center?" And that got the attention of like 9 dudes. who are like, what? Where are you going? What are you doing? What's going on? And I said, I'm staying at a hotel like in the financial district by the World Trade Center, I think, and I need the train that goes to the World Trade Center. And so these two guys were talking to me, and then they brought me over to the TSA agents who then made me show my ID. And I thought they were going to go through my bag. I thought they were going to go through my suitcase. And they start asking me where I'm going and where I'm from and where I came from. And they take my ID. And this is my favorite part. They take my ID and they start quizzing me about the information on my ID. Like, I don't even know my own address. Like, I would look at the head. Look at that fat head. Who else is that on the goddamn ID? And but they profiled the shit out of me, man. They asked me all sorts of questions. What was in the bag? Where I was going? And I'm like, this is a rude welcome. I had always heard that New York wasn't so rude. Bullshit. And I have expected him at some point to go, hey, aren't you the guy who took the handicap bench from a handicap guy earlier this morning? You're coming with us. Word was out, folks. But they went through, they looked at my ID and they asked me questions. They did not search my bag. And I said, look, I'm just trying to get to my hotel. What hotel are you staying in? Club quarters. Why are you here? Work. What kind of work do you do? I said, I'm here for a personal appearance. What does that mean? I'm an entertainer and some people, it's like a party. They've invited me to a party here and I have to make a personal appearance at the party. Where's that? By the World Trade Center. I don't know. Honestly, I'm spending the weekend with these people and whatever they want me to do, I'm doing. And these dudes look at me because, again, they have jackets that have the name of their job on them. All right, they live a tough life. They're in the subterranean bowels of New York, grilling strangers to find out what they're doing. And then I come over. I'm like, gee, I'm here to just I'm having a party. I'm entertainment incarnate. Awful. So I sufficiently confused them with that. And they were just like, oh, well, all right, you want to get this train, but it's not here. You got to go over here and go up these stairs. So I had to fucking walk over and go upstairs and finally got on the train. And then my phone was working again, and it took me, I was getting off at Rector Station, RECTOR, which is only like, 9 stops or whatever, but I'm riding that. And then the train, everything was fine. I'm on the subway. It's good, and it's not busy. And I get to Rector, and I come upstairs. And I'm in fucking New York. I'm right in the middle of the financial district, man. I'm tall, built right on basically walls. I'm at Rector and Wall on Wall Street, and I'm looking around, and it is as busy as you would expect it to be, even for December 30th. I mean, it is just like these waves of dudes in suits and homeless people with ukuleles, trying to make money. And I think Karen was actually there with some ashcloth on her face. And just everybody's there making money and doing everybody. That's it. Everybody's there making money, and I come out wide-eyed out of the fucking subway train with a huge fucking suitcase. And again, you literally just walk out and you have a sign on you that says Rube. Because when I get out of the subway, immediately like 2 guys walk over and they're like, "Hey, brother, where are you going?" And I said, "I'm going to my hotel." And they go, "Well, we can help you. Let's go." And one guy goes to grab my suitcase. And I'm like, "Nah, dude, I'm good. I'm fine. I know where I'm going." And they go, "Where are you going? We'll walk you down there. It's fine." And I'm like, "I'm fine. You don't have to walk me." And they're like, "Okay." And then they're like another person with a suitcase. "Hey, where are you going? I can help you out." And of course, they grab their suitcase and they start walking. And I'm just like, get away from Again, I know I'm a rube, but I don't need to play the role. I can fucking find out. I'll walk in fucking circles forever before I ask for help. And so then I'm literally at the corner of Wall, and I'm looking at my phone trying to find out where my hotel is, and I have to go down a side street, and I walk down there, and I'm turning and twisting, and I wind up walking. All of a sudden I'm in Battery Park, and I'm looking around, and my phone's basically saying, "Dude, you went the wrong fucking way. I don't know where you are." Because I'm walking, I'm on foot. I don't know where I'm supposed to be, but I'm trying to follow the directions. And so I'm in Battery Park, so I have to double back. And, I walk past 19 delis and 47 Chinese places and a bunch of pizza places, and I'm walking. And the whole area down there, for some reason, I don't know why, is being rebuilt. Like, it's like there's a ton of construction and a ton of scaffolding. And I'm like, what the fuck happened in this part of town that everything is fucking being rebuilt? It's crazy. And as I'm walking, it dawns on me, and I just go, oh yeah. Because, look, it's been 11 years. What the fuck are you guys doing? Rebuild the pizza joint, all right? I understand probably it's low on the priority, but, if it's going to be quick, it's like when you get a settlement and you go, well, I'll just pay off all my small credit cards. But rebuild the pizza places first, folks, and then move on to the Freedom Tower, whatever the fuck you got going on. So I'm walking, and I'm Washington, and I turn left. I'm staying on Washington. I'm like, all right, where am I going? But I turn the wrong way, and I go. And again, folks, there's nothing worse than walking through the streets of New York saddled with a giant suitcase, because it's hustle and bustle incarnate. You're supposed to be moving and walking, and nobody gives a fuck where you're going. Just get out of their way. And then I'm walking wide-eyed, looking up at the big buildings, holding my phone and checking that, and dragging a suitcase. Awful. So finally, I see a big W, and I know that Brandy and Seth are staying at the W when they get to town, and I know that I'm close to the W. So I just head for the W. So I'm in Mad World. That's exactly where I'm at. I'm heading for the big W, folks. I'm Dick Shawn. So I'm walking, and I see the W, and then right across the street, I see Club Quarters. I mean, it's so close. It's like fucking 10 steps away. And outside of the Club Quarters Hotel, there's this huge line, and it's just a bunch of people standing in line. And there's a bunch of tarps and all sorts of shit. And then I look, and it says 9/11 Memorial. It's the line for the 9/11 Memorial. And I'm like, well, where the fuck could that be if the line starts here? I don't even know. I just got to get in and check in. I'm groggy from inconveniencing the handicapped all morning and riding trains. Hanging out with prides of Asians. I've got to get upstairs to my room and check in. That's all. As long as I can get my bearings, because I'm not a New Yorker yet. All right, I'm still a rube because I'm dragging my suitcase around. As soon as my suitcase gets in my room, I am back to being a New Yorker. So I go into the Club Quarters. I go to check in, and it was fucking, at this point, it's 9 a.m., I think, after I made it over there. And I said, hey, I had called early about an early check-in. And they go, well, let me check and see if there's a room. Fucking banging the keyboard. She goes, yes, we do have a room that you can check into. It's a $35 fee for early check-in. And yes, do it. Yes. I don't, because what am I going to do, sit in the lobby until fucking noon? I mean, it's just, it's worth $10 an hour for me to get my room early. You know what I mean? And also check-in was at 3. So it's like, I'm checking in 6 hours early. So if you figure that, $5 an hour, done, paid. So she goes to check me in. She checks my ID and she takes my incidentals. And they hold my card, whatever the fuck, that's fine. And she goes, all right, you're on the 9th floor. You're up here. Go this way and take the elevator. You got to put your card. When you take these elevators, you got to put your room key into the thing and push a button. Now it's everybody's very fancy. So before I go upstairs, I said, hey, there's the line out there for the 9/11 thing. And she goes, yeah. She goes, we can get you tickets for that. I go, great. Well, can I get tickets for? Because I'm not seeing Brandy and Seth until later. I said, can I get tickets for that? She goes, oh, well, you got to get them on computer. I said, all right, well, where's that? She goes, well, our computer's around the corner, but I don't think they do same-day sales. I said, you just told me you could get me the tickets, right? Because I'm staying here. It actually says on your website we can get you tickets. She goes, yeah, with advance notice. I said, all right, well, then can you get them for tomorrow? She goes, well, I'll look into it, and I'll definitely call your room. I said, okay. So I went upstairs. I go up to the 9th floor, and it's tiny. Like, the hallways are real tiny. I'm banging into shit with my stupid suitcase. But I get into my room, and it's nice. I mean, it's like Club Quarters is just a business hotel, and it's got a bed and a big plasma screen on the wall. It's got a bathroom with a shower. Everything's fine. I get in, and I turn a light on because it's light outside, but the curtains are closed. And I throw my bag on the bed. I unzip it because I got to unpack. I've got nice clothes in there, folks. Very nice clothes. Because I have to set an example for Brandy and Seth, who I told them to bring a button shirt, so I couldn't look like a fucking asshole. I had to bring something nice. So I actually brought my suit coat, not a blazer. I have a blazer, but I actually brought the coat for my suit to wear with, just like a turtleneck and whatever. So I go to unpack that stuff. I shake it out. I put it in the little closet, and I go to unpack my bag. I move it over to the chair, and I set up my computer, and then I go over to the curtains because I want to I like light. I like real light. So I turn off the lights, and I go to the curtains, and I open them up. And this is, I mean, it was astonishing to me. Like, I didn't think that this was possible. My view from the hotel was ground zero. Not like part of it, not the street. I mean, I opened the hotel and downstairs, literally, I'll put pictures on Facebook. Not a bunch of them, but I'll put a picture up just so you know that I'm not lying. I'm not kidding you. I opened my curtains and I am looking out into ground zero. And I got to tell you, that is a cheerful way to start your weekend. Literally, I'm like, oh, this is a nice hotel. It's not bad, and they can get me tickets if I want, but I don't even know where that memorial is. Well, maybe I'll be able to take a look at it, but it's weird to be in the financial district. They're building a lot of stuff down here. It seems strange. Let me open the curtains, and oh, hey, there is a mass grave right there in my face. And I should tell you this. I'm also all right. Because I've been traveling all night and I'm confined and I've been on trains and stuff. When I put my stuff away and I open the windows, because I'm on the 9th floor, I'm not worried about anybody seeing me. I took my clothes off. I'm not. Basically, I'm there in a pair of boxer briefs. I don't have anything else on, and I open the curtains because again, I did this the last time I was in New York too, where I just think that I'm high up enough where it's not going to be a problem. Dude, the 9th floor is nothing in fucking New York.
Yeah.
And buildings are right next to one another. I mean, I could have opened it and made eye contact with a guy across the way if I wanted to. I could have if there was a building there, but unfortunately there was not. Instead, I opened the curtains and I got 6,000 pairs of eyes staring at me in my fucking boxer briefs. I'm like, I look and it made me double clutch because I mean, it's right there. Like, I mean, it's not even a hint of it. There's no canopy over it. It looks like every shot you saw on the news for the weeks following the disaster. And, which really threw me and it made me think, and it really kind of, it lends perspective because I'm like, oh my God, this hotel, because they told me they renovated it. I'm like, well, of course they did. They had to. But at the same time, like I said, I'm looking down at Ground Zero and in my head, I'm just like, what the fuck have you guys been doing for the past 10 years? There's a couple of buildings that are going up. There's the Freedom Towers and stuff, and those are amazing. I didn't even make the connection as I was walking to my hotel, because then later when I left my hotel, there's the Freedom Towers right there. I mean, you can see them right from the street, and they're just being built. In my head, I'm just like, well, that's just construction. I wasn't even thinking about what the fuck it was. But I'm looking down on Ground Zero. That's the view from my hotel. It was amazing, amazing. And then I can't jerk off in that room, right? I can't jerk off. Now I know that I can't. I got to go 3 days without jerking off because again, 6,000 eyes are going to be staring at me as I jerk off, and look. Haven't these people been through enough? These people have been through enough, right? The last thing I need to know is that, because look, if you believe in heaven and all that, they can see me here now, all right? Everybody, right now I could be looking, but now I'm in their house. I'm on their home turf. Now if I whip it out and jerk off, then Mohammed Atta is like, oh, dude, really? Really? This is my final resting place, and you're going to run off a fucking badge? There's nothing sexy about it, folks. I don't give a fuck what I tune on TV. I don't care how much porn I buy. I'm going to find it very difficult to get it up very close to Ground Zero. I think. That's what I decided. I go, look, I can't jerk off because all of these people are still here. They're still here. It just seems like an indignity. And that lasted for like a day, of course, as you know, because when it's dark, I know they can't see me in the dark, right? All right. So I get in there. I'm just, like I said, I got boxer briefs on. I open the windows and then I'm looking and I'm like, so I throw a shirt on at least because I know people can see in the room now. Because again, there's other buildings where they can actually look across and see me. And I look down and I can see the line for the memorial. And to my left, I can see the memorial. I can actually see the memorial from my room. Astonishing. So I sit down, I grab my phone, and I get a message from Brandy. She left me a voicemail. And I go to listen to it. Or no, it was a text. I apologize. It was a text. And she just texts me. Because I got to town early because I took the red eye. And then they're getting to town at I think it was noon or 1. They were supposed to be in town. And then they're going to the Cake Boss that night. And unfortunately, I'm not able to come. And so she was trying to figure out a way to do a meet cute. Like maybe before they went to the Cake Boss, if I showed up with the car and I was like, hey, you guys want to see, just some weird surprise. She wanted me to try to figure out a way to meet Seth, so it was a surprise. But then she texts me and tells me that their flight is delayed.
Ooh.
6 hours.
Whoa!
And she's panicking. She's because now, they're supposed to be taking a ride to Jersey at 5. They're supposed to be there. They're supposed to be in Jersey at 5 for the class. Supposed to leave at 4. She's texting me at 9 a.m. telling me the flight's delayed for 6 hours, and she doesn't know if they're going to get there in time. And she's trying to figure out how they're going to make it work. And she's panicking on the phone. And so I, first of all, I thank God that I'm not talking to her. I should tell you that I'm completely thrilled that we're not having this discussion because I can't deal with her panicking at this point. As it is already, I'm standing in a cemetery. So I text her back, and I this is where I earn my money, folks. This is where I earn my money because again, I'm their dad for this trip. I'm not anybody special. I'm older than them. So I write her and I go, look, I said, this happens all the time. Don't worry about it. You're going to be fine. When you get to town, just go ahead and grab a cab. Maybe you can go right to Jersey. You'll figure something out, but relax. I go, this is stuff that happens when you travel, but it's going to be fine. You're going to be fine. I'm trying to assuage her. And she writes me, she's like, well, I don't know. We're kind of panicking and we're looking for other flights and we're talking to Delta or whoever it was, and they're trying to move us around. And I wrote her and I said, look, relax. I go, this is all, you've now got 3 days to relax. We're going to have fun. Everything's going to be great. Everything's going to be fine. I said, text me or call me when you're in town. So now I know I have the whole day to myself. And I had mentioned before that I was planning on going to see Book of Mormon, but then I couldn't justify the money. But then in my head, I'm like, well, maybe I can go down there and just find a ticket. So I went, I got dressed and I went downstairs and I asked the lady at the desk, I go, hey, what's the odds on getting Broadway stuff? She goes, well, you have to go down to the theaters. You go to the kiosk and see what they have available. And I'm like, well, I go, they're probably not going to have anything. I'm trying to see Book of Mormon. She's like, oh, that's a tough one. And I said, yeah. Do you guys have a concierge? Can they make a phone call? And she's like, nah, we're just like a straight business hotel. And part of me actually felt guilty that I'm in there planning to go see Book of Mormon when just outside the door is a cemetery. Quite frankly, it's not even, I can't even get around that. It's a cemetery outside. And she's like, well, I can't help you. And so I walked outside and there was the line for the 9/11 memorial and I didn't have tickets and it doesn't cost anything to get in. All right. So, in my head, I'm like, well, why don't I just fucking get in line? And I should say that, the line went all the way to the back. Well, I just figured I could cut in the line. Because it's right by the front of my hotel. It's coming around. Like I could just blend in with the people walking, literally just hop over the velvet rope, which by the way seems a bit gaudy for the 9/11 memorial. I don't know if you should have gone velvet rope. I mean, I don't know if you could just have like a chain link paper mache of sad faces. I don't know if you want that either. But it seemed like the velvet rope seemed to be a bit jaunty to keep people in line for 9/11. And then I walked up to the rope and in my head I'm like, and there were cops there. And so the last thing I wanted to do was be the guy who got tackled cutting in line for the 9/11 memorial. So I went, don't do this, stupid. Just don't do it. Go tomorrow. So I walked out, and then all I did was I walked around the city. Like I went and familiarized myself with the area. I walked and I walked through some scaffolding. I looked at buildings. I hustled. That's all I did was I hustled. I played New York. I literally in my head I kept singing "Everybody's Talking at Me" by Nielsen, and I tried to cross the street and I punched cabs on the hood and said I'm walking here. That's what I did. I said, you know what? Fuck that. I'm Joe Buck. I'm in town, baby. I'm going to Ratso Rizzle this entire goddamn central financial district. And so I did. I went to a pizza joint and just walked in. I went to a bodega and I bought something there. Some grapes I think I bought. And then it was just, that's all I did. I pretended I was in New York because I was, but I pretended I belonged. And then she sent me a text and she's like, oh, we don't know what's happening. We're still delayed. And I was like, oh, dude. So eventually I just went back to my room and I'm like, maybe I should sleep because I only slept on the plane. And then we have a dinner that night. But now I don't even know if they're going to make it into town because she keeps making it sound like they're not even going to make it. So she finally is radio silence for a while. I go back to my room and I hang out and I can't get to sleep. I'm just wide awake at that point because I'm in the fucking city. I mean, I'm feeling the vibe of it. And that afternoon, finally like 4:30, I get a text from her. We're in town. We're on our way to go see the Cake Boss. We're in Jersey. It's just it's been a nightmare, but I'm still looking forward to dinner. If you can go ahead and meet us, and she panicked, and so I wrote her, and I'm like, it's okay. I go now the good part starts. I go, you know what? The delay is over. You're in New York. Now your vacation has started. Relax. We're gonna make this happen. We've got our dinner reservation at 9. If we don't make that, we'll go somewhere else. Don't worry. I was just trying to make sure that she understood that she owed me nothing. She kept making it sound like I need to let you know, and so I make sure. I don't want to waste your time. She kept saying that to me, like I don't want to waste your time. It's like, dude, I'm here for you, man. You're not wasting my time. Whatever you want to do, I'm in. Sort of. We'll see. But again, I decided, fuck that. This is a weekend of yes. I'm just that's all I'm doing. So she went to Cake Boss, and in my head I was like, man, I still would love to just tag along. What would they do? Make me wait outside? But I said, fuck it. Don't even bother. So I waited and, I'm in the room and, I take a shower, hanging out, trying to figure out how we're going to get to the Colicchio and Sons. We had initially planned where we were going to take separate cabs, because then it would be like I met them at the restaurant. There's like, oh my God, are you know what I mean? That kind of thing. And I'm like, I don't want to do that. That's just pointless. And plus they've been all over. The last thing I want to do is leave them on their own now. It's like, I want them to get to their hotel and I'll take them under my wing and just do everything the rest of the night because they've had such a fucking stressful day. So she texts me at like 7:30. And she's like, well, wait, we're coming back. We're on our way back, to the hotel. And can you meet us? What do you want to do? We can still take the separate cabs. And so I wrote her, I go, no. I said, I'll tell you what, when you get to the room, do whatever you're going to do. And then contact me. I will meet you. We'll go together. We'll make this happen. It's fine. So she's like, okay, well, because what they did was they fucking landed at the airport and took a cab to Jersey to make the Cake Boss thing. And they didn't even go to their hotel. So they have to go still check in at the hotel and everything. And I'm like, the last thing you need to worry about is that. So I wrote her, I go, everything's fine. Just let me know. So about 10 after 8, she still hadn't contacted me. So I wrote her and I'm like, reservations at 9. Just, we got to take a cab, just trying to figure out where you're at. And she's like, all right, we're going to get up in the hotel. We got to freshen up. And, if you could meet us over here, that'd be fine. And she goes, where are you? How far are you? I go, I'm 10 steps away from you. It's fine. I go, I will meet you at the hotel. It's no problem. She's like, okay. I said, well, she goes, well, how will I know you? And I said, well, trust me, I'll know you guys. She's like, Seth is wearing a plaid button-down shirt, and I'm wearing this. And I said, okay, that's fine. I go, I'll be in the lobby. I'll find you. Don't even sweat it. So I went over to the W, and it turns out they don't have a lobby downstairs. You have to go up to the 5th floor, which is where their check-in and their lobby is, and there's a bar. It's like a lounge that you check in at. It's so strange. And then there's other hotel elevators that go up to the rooms. So I get down to the 5th floor, and I just sit down, and I felt, I got to be honest, man, I felt so fucking grown up. Because I'm in a suit. I'm wearing, I dressed nice. I wore nice clothes, and I go over to the lounge at the W in New York. You know what I mean? Just like in the financial district of New York to go meet friends. It just felt amazing. And so I head over there, and I'm sitting down. And I text her, and she says, all right, well, we're going to come down. I don't know what you want to do. How do you want to work it? And so I text her, I go, I'm in the 5th floor lounge. Just come down and I'll find you. And so I'm sitting there waiting. And again, I've never met them. They don't know me. They sort of know me. I don't know if they know what I look like. And I'm waiting and I'm by the elevators, but there's other hotel elevators further away, so they're going to be coming out of there. So I'll be able to see them coming out of the foyer to go to the downstairs elevators. And I'm just sitting there pretending I have a scotch. Looking at my watch, looking at my phone. I'm very important, folks. There's other people there, businessmen. They're all, they're off work talking about the stocks and the New Year's. I could have jumped in and talked about money with them, but I said, you know what, I'm off. So I'm sitting there waiting, and then I see 2 people emerge. And there's a guy with a plaid button shirt. And in my head, I go, well, you know what? That's got to be them. I hope. I mean, if it's not, then I've blown everything, whatever. So I stand up and I walk over to the elevators, and he has he's just walking to the elevators. So I go over and I hit the elevator and I hit the down, and I turn around and I look at the 2 of them. They're standing next to me, and Brandy, she knows, she sees me, and she's like looking right at me. Like I can see her. She's like, she wants to say something. And I turn around and I look, and he's looking at, he's not, it's that thing where there's people there, but you don't notice them, especially in New York. There's people all around, but you don't look at them. So when I hit the elevator, I hit it, and it's coming up on its way, and I turn around, and I look him right in the face, and he's not even looking at me. He's kind of looking around and looking through me, and he looks at Brandy to talk. And finally, all of a sudden, he kind of looks, and he makes eye contact with me, and I go, are you Seth? And he goes, and I go, Seth, I'm Mike Schmidt. And Brandy she just starts like smiling and clapping. She's just like, because he has no idea what is happening at this point. None. And he looks at me and he goes, I know you're who you are. And Brandy, like, she's like so happy. I can see her. She's so excited that this worked. And he looks at me and I go, well, we're going to hop in the elevator and go to dinner. Is that cool with you? And he's like, yeah, I guess so. What are you doing here? And I said, well, why don't you ask Brandy what I'm doing here? And he looks at her and she just goes like, surprise. and he's stunned. He can't talk. Like, he couldn't talk. It was the weirdest thing. And again, I'm no celebrity. I'm no anybody, whatever. But it was just so surprising, I think, for him to come to New York and see some guy that he sort of knows. It was just such a fucking out of the blue thing. Like, he doesn't think that's going to happen. It's like ridiculous. Ridiculous. And so he looks and he can't talk. Like, he couldn't even talk. He's like a big dude. He's like 6'3". He might be an inch taller than I am. And he's all hairy. He looks like Bill Walton, for Christ's sake. Some fucking hippie. But thankfully he didn't. He's not wearing torn clothes. He's not wearing he's dressed nice. We're good. And so I go, all right, well, let's go. And then the elevator opens up and we get in the elevator and he can't even process what the fuck is happening. He's just looking at me and looking at Brandy. And so I'm trying to fill the space, which I think we all know I'm pretty good at, folks. And I'm like, Seth, Brandy called. She said, you know what? Seth wants to see you in New York. I said, of course I'm going to come to New York. Why wouldn't I come to New York if Seth was there? And he just starts laughing because, again, I'm talking. So then it's like, oh, he's like, oh, this is really happening. This is Mike Schmidt and he's talking. Because that's all he's comfortable with me. He's not comfortable with me lurking and riding in an elevator with him. He just wants to hear me talk because that's my relationship with him. So I start talking to kind of try to talk him down off the ledge at this point because he's still freaked out. And she's being really coy and being very nice. And so I take over, man. I become me. And I'm like, so how was the cake, boss? How did that go? And they tell me all about that. They made cakes and they had fondant and they rolled it out. I said, oh, dude, I wanted to go to that so bad. And I was just me. Because it wasn't awkward. You know what? I always joke about how it's going to be awkward. It's going to be fucking awkward. And it is. I mean, it's awkward. Let's face it. It's fucking weird. But it's incumbent upon me to make it not awkward. You know why? Because all of you people are awkward. That's pretty much the bottom line. You people are awkward. I'm me. I'm me all the fucking time. So all I got to do is turn me up to about 8 or 9, and all the awkward is getting burned off in the heat. Because that's all I got to do is bring the heat, and I burn all the awkward away. Pretty soon, all of us are having a good time. That's what we're doing. That's a lie, but who cares? That's what I did is I amped it up and I decided to be me and I talked and I took over the conversation. I asked how the flight was. I asked what they were doing and I listened and we went downstairs to grab a cab and I said, yeah, we're going to Colicchio and Sons and I hop in the front seat and they hop in the back seat. Or no, I apologize. I let Brandy, because I was going to go, I wanted them to hop in the back seat and Brandy goes, no, you and Seth get in the back seat. I'm going to sit in front. So Brandy sat in the front seat and it's me and Seth in the back. And I look at him and I go, you okay? And he's just like, yeah, this is so weird. Like, I didn't expect this to happen. And I'm like, well, believe me, I didn't either, Seth. I had no idea that this was going to fucking happen. And then Brandy contacted me like a month ago and made the arrangements, and now here we are. So now we're going to have some dinner and we're going to have a good time. And he's like, well, you're going to dinner with us? And I go, yeah. I go, dude, I'm here as long as you're here. And he goes, what? And I go, I'm on vacation with you. I'm here. Whatever you guys are doing, I'm doing. That's right. Whether you get sick of me or you don't, I am tagging along for any of the bullshit that you have planned here in New York. And he's like, this is ridiculous. And I go, yep. Get used to it. It's going to be 3 full days of ridiculousness. Let's do this. And he started laughing and Brandy's laughing and I'm laughing. We're all having a good time and the cab driver hates us. And so I start talking to him, and I start talking to the cab driver. I'm like, where are you from? And he's from the Dominican Republic. And I'm like, oh, of course you are. And I'm interviewing him and calling him by his name on his badge. And then Randy and Seth are just like, what the fuck is this guy doing? Why are you talking to the cab driver like he's your best friend? And but that's because that's what I do. So I tell the guy where we're going, and we head over to Colicchio and Sons, and we get to the bar, and I pay for the cab. And we get out and we go into the restaurant and check in at the valet. And, they have a coat check. They take Brandy's coat. And I check in. And I tell them we got a reservation for 3. They're like, well, head over to the bar, please. And so we go. And as we're sitting there, we're talking. And I notice out of the corner of my eye, there's Stockard Channing sitting there enjoying a dinner. And part of me is going to go, man, that's Stockard Channing. But then also I realize that Brandy and Seth combined are not as old as Stockard Channing. They're not going to have any fucking clue who Stockard Channing is. So if I'm going to go, hey, that's Rizzo from Grease, or, that's, I want to say a million different things, but I can't because they don't care. I'm sure they don't care. So we're at the bar and we're talking, we're having a good time, and they're explaining to me more about cake bosses and fondants and all the shit that they had to do. And then the horrible dude, they went to go on their plane, and the reason they didn't get on their plane was the window was broken. Like, that's the thing. It's not even like it was a weather delay. It was the actual plane they had to fix. And they told them right off the bat, it was going to be 6 hours to fix it. And so they were like, well, we can't do that. We have reservations. Since they worked, and they had to run across the airport, and they got on another plane, and that plane got them in right at like 4:15, and then they got on the cab and went over to Jersey. It was just a fucking nightmare. And I'm like, well, see, so now relax. We're at the bar. Have a drink. Let's have something. Let's do that, and let me talk, and you guys just fucking relax. Have I mentioned that soccer chanting over there? But so we're sitting at the bar, and then they got a Coke or something, and I think Brandy got what did she? I don't. Who cares? No one. You don't care what her drink order was. And then they come over to get us, and they're like, hey, come on, you guys can go sit over here and eat. And we get the table, and they bring the menu, and they're all excited, and they don't go to like fancy joints a lot. And I mean, I've been to fancy joints. I don't go a lot either, but I'm excited. So I'm looking, and I'm going, all right, what are you guys planning on getting? And they're like, well, we don't know. We're going to get steak, right? Because it's a steak place. I go, it is, but you know what? You got to get something different. And they're like, why? And I go, because you know why? Because this is New York, and this is a crazy weekend. So I go, you know what? You want steak? Get steak. But let me order appetizers that are different. Let's get like a bunch of stuff you've never had before. Order things you've never had. Let's make it that type of weekend. This is the weekend where we do all the things that we've never done before. So look, we're already doing something we've never done before. You paid some idiot to come out and talk to you for 3 days. Look how ridiculous this is. You already saw the Cake Boss. You made cakes with the Cake Boss. How great is that? Now we're in a restaurant. You're not just going to order steak and I'm going to let you get away with that. We're going to get crazy shit on this menu. And they're just like, okay, that's fine. I go, do you mind if I order the food? They go, no, go ahead. That'll be fine. So then I'm like their dad, man. It's like, I'm in a suit coat. I'm sitting there by myself. They're on the bench across from me, and their feet are dangling. There's like, thanks, Dad. What are you going to order for us? And I said, well, I'll tell you what. Each of you pick an appetizer. Each of you pick one appetizer, and then I will order around it. So I'll make sure that you each have one thing you wanted, and then I'll order around it and get other stuff too. And they looked at me like they were hesitant. All right, I'm not going to lie to you. They were hesitant because all of a sudden I'm saying I'm going to order food and you're going to eat it. That's essentially what I told them. I don't care what you like. I'm ordering food and you're eating it. I'm a bully. Like now they paid me. I'm a drill instructor. They paid me to come and fucking yell at them. Ridiculous. But to their credit, they both looked at each other kind of like timidly, and they looked back at me and they said, okay. I said, all right, let's do it. So I looked at the menu, and I got what they wanted. Seth wanted a lobster salad. Oh, nice. That came. And I don't remember what Brandy ordered. I have no idea. It was, but I'm sure it was potato based. It was something normal. All right. But it was delicious because it's from there, I would assume. We'll find out in a second. And then the waiter comes to the table. And he starts talking, and he's giving his waiter speech, and he's an older waiter, which is fine. I'm cool with that. But it's so funny. The rest of the room is really young, and you can see he's trying really hard to be a waiter, still, and he's to prove he's still got it. So Seth got like Coke, and then Brandy likes wine. I didn't know Brandy liked wine, so she's like, well, I might get some wine later, and because they had a big wine list and all that stuff. And they had a huge in the center of the restaurant. They had it was probably like a 3-story wine room that went all the way to the top, and. So I ordered their appetizers, and then I said, all right, and now I'm going to get the foie gras torchon, which it was foie gras with pickles and all this different stuff. And then I said, I'm also going to get the snails. And I said that, and I saw Brandy just make a face like, no, dude, no, really? The snails? And I said, all right, so we'll get those, and then we'll continue looking at what we're going to get for. I asked the guy, I said, how do you want us to do it? Do you want us to order the appetizers first and then order the entrees and things? And he goes, well, no. He goes, you know what? We'll space it out for you. I go, I never know how you guys want to do it. That's fine. So I said, do me a favor before you put that in. I'll find out what we're eating for dinner and come back and I'll order it all. He said, great. So he bails, and then they come over with first they bring an amuse-bouche. After I talk to the waiter, they bring over, and it's essentially a shot glass of butternut squash. Soup, butternut squash soups. First, they brought spoons, big tablespoon looking. And then they come over and they go, here's an amuse-bouche, courtesy of our chef, to wake up your palate for the coming meal. It is a butternut squash soup with nutmeg. Here you go. And they held it out. And it's these little tiny like ramekins with butternut squash soup. So all three of us took it. And in my head, I went, all right, am I supposed to knock this back like a shot? Because it's in a tiny little shot glass. It's in a ramekin, and it looks like a shot. I mean, it completely does. But in my head, I went, well, wait a minute, though. They brought spoons. They wouldn't have brought spoons if they didn't intend for us to use the spoons, right? So all this is going through in my head. So when they take their soups, like Brandy and Seth, and they hold them up, and they go to drop them like shots, and I go, no! And they go, what? I go, no, you don't drink it like a shot. That's ridiculous. Even though in my head, 5 seconds earlier, I'm like, do I drink this like a shot? But I was able to put together the puzzle in my head of the spoon and why they brought it. And there was a cause and effect. And they were going to knock it back. I'm like, no, you rubes, put the soup down. I'm yelling at them for no reason when literally 5 seconds before into my head, I'm like, should I drink this like a shot? And then they go to do it. No, stop. They brought us spoons for a reason, guys. Literally, I made them feel bad. And they're just like, oh, okay, all right. Just because they're not used to being in fancy restaurants, and I am. I was ready to throw back a shot of soup. So we take the spoons and we're drinking, and it's amazing. Tastes so good. It's like, it's a palate awakener. That's what it is, folks, in a moose boosh. So as we're eating that, they bring over the bread, like the house bread, and it's not a bread basket. Dude, it is like a little, like a hot pan with rolls, 6 rolls that are all together, and you have to tear them off, and the rolls are covered with sea salt, like on the top, like sea salt, and then they bring butter with them. Oh my God, dude, fantastic. So we're eating our amuse bouches, and we're tearing apart our bread. And then I say to him, I go, all right, what are you guys eating for dinner? And I was planning on getting the ribeye, okay, because it's Colicchio and Sons used to be Kraft Steakhouse. He's a steak guy. So I usually eat, I'll go Wheelhouse, whatever they make. So Brandy goes, you know what, I'm going to get the ribeye. And in my head, I'm like, oh, I can't get the ribeye. If Brandy's getting the ribeye, I go, well, fuck it. Yeah, I guess I can get the ribeye still. So Brandy goes, Seth, that's what you were getting, right? And Seth goes, yeah, it's a steak place, so I'm going to get the ribeye too. So now I'm like, wait a minute, the two of them are getting the ribeye. I can't get the ribeye because now I'm a dick. If I get 3 ribeyes, now we're just completely these corn-fed assholes off the street. I can't do that. I got to do something different. I got to get monkfish liver or whatever the fuck they got that's crazy. So I look at the two of them and I go, really? You guys are both going to get steak? That doesn't make any sense. Get adventurous. Order something that you've never had before because I want to order the steak. And I can't wait to see their face when one of them changes and then I order the steak for myself. But they're just like, well, no, we're going to do that with the appetizers, but we really want the steak. And I'm all right, cool. I go ahead and get the steak. So I know that I can't get the steak at that point. I have to get something different. So I'm looking at the dishes, and they there's a venison dish. There's a bunch of stuff that looks good. But at the same time, I don't want to commit to that. You know what I mean? I've already got foie gras coming and snails and bullshit. So the waiter comes and I said, all right. I go, here's what we're getting. I order the 4 appetizers, and he's like, very good, sir. Extra primo good, Mr. Coleman, sir. And then I said, all right. And then she's getting the ribeye. How would you like it? Oh, before the waiter came over, I go, how are you ordering that steak? And she goes, I guess medium rare. And I go, all right. I just want to make sure. And she goes, why? And I go, well, you can't order well done. I go, if you order well done, they can come out here and hit you with a spatula. You can't order well done in this joint. And I don't know why I'm trying to babysit them and make them classy. Like, it's so ridiculous. All of a sudden, I'm nobody. I'm a fat, because I'm wearing a suit coat, now I'm better than everybody in the world? But they told me they were like, wear torn clothes. I'm just trying to be their dad. So she's like, all right, I just know I want it like medium rare. And I go, okay, that's fine. I go, Seth, how you getting yours? And he's like, yeah, same thing, medium rare. I tell you my steak. Good. I go, I didn't want to turn into well done. I said, because, Karen orders it well done, and then they want to kill her. So the guy comes, and I order the 4 appetizers. He's like, oh, the snails are fantastic. I go, I know they will be. Tell them. And so I said, all right, and she's having the ribeye medium rare. I go, and he's also having the ribeye medium rare. I said, let me ask you something. I'm looking at the pork, I'm looking at the venison, and I'm looking at the short ribs. What do I want to eat here? And he goes, you want the short ribs? I go, yeah. And he goes, yes, they're braised short ribs. They're delicious. Trust me, that's what you want to go with. He goes, I would even get that over the ribeye. I said, well, all right. Because I said to him, I go, look, we can't order 3 ribeyes because then we're idiots. And he's like, what? And I said, well, because they're getting ribeyes. I was going to get ribeye, but if they're getting it, I can't do it because then we're dumb. So I need to know what to eat. And he's like, all right. So he tells me to get the short ribs. I go, done, sold. I said, so bring me those. But I also, I noticed that there's side dishes with the entrees. Is there a way to get a sampling of the side dishes that are with different entrees? Because I would like to try them. And I don't want to order those full entrees. And he goes, well, let me check with the kitchen, but it shouldn't be a problem. So he said, good. So I ordered a red pea cake that they had. And then there was like what was it? It was an onion, like an onion succotash dish that they had. And I said, all right, I need that on the side as well. And he said, great. So he goes off and he places the order. And we're talking, we're eating bread, and we're making small talk, and we're looking around the room, and I'm looking to see if Stockard Channing is still there. And then I tell them, and I go, by the way, when we were at the bar, Stockard Channing was at the bar. She's from Greece. You guys have no idea who she is. And Brandy's like, wait, that's Rizzo from Greece, right? I'm like, oh, why didn't I tell her that she was there? She would have seen her. It was a celebrity. They would have seen her. And I go, yeah, Rizzo from Greece. And she's like, oh, I know who that is. And I'm like, oh, well, she was there by the bar when we were drinking. So enjoy yourselves. No, I'm like, why am I thinking for them? Why didn't I just say that's Stockard Channing? Because you know why? I didn't want to look stupid. I didn't want them to go, who the fuck is Stockard Channing? Because we're still in the awkward phase. Because you people are awkward. I hadn't burned off enough awkward yet to tell them that Stockard Channing was there, because how gay would that have looked? So then we're eating and we're talking, and then they bring, they come over with the new plates and the different knives and all that bullshit. And because that's also a chore when you're in a fancy restaurant. They're bringing you, a fucking claw cracker and all sorts of bullshit, a tiny fork. What's this for? Inevitably, you never use it. So they come over and they bring the appetizers and they start putting them on the table. And there's Brandy's. I forget what she chose. And then, of course, there was the lobster salad. And then they had the foie gras and the snails. And so they start eating. And I'm like, all right, I can't wait to see you guys try this. So they grab the foie gras first. And they kind of look at one another. And they're ready to take the plunge. And I'm like a smiling uncle. I'm like, yeah, eat it. It's going to be hilarious. Because it's awesome. Foie gras is awesome. So they there's little, like I said, torchons and bread and stuff, and then they kind of spread it. They pick up the foie gras and they put it on there, and they eat it. And I'm looking at their face to see if they betray any horribleness, and they just start nodding, and they're like, "That's really good." I'm like, "Aha! See, of course. See, you got to listen to your friend Mike." So I grab a handful of the bread and I put the foie gras on it and I put it in my mouth, and I hate it. Hate it. They did something to it. They cured it. So there was a different flavor to the foie gras. Because I've had foie gras and it's really creamy and stuff. And this, it had a bitter taste to it to me. I ate it and I choked it down. I wasn't about to tell them. I spit it out. No, because they ate it and they loved it. So I'm like, yay, look how sophisticated I am. Oh my God. I put it in my mouth. I'm like, oh, I hate this foie gras. Oh my God. I can't believe I ate it. And so I immediately start eating their salad, all the other stuff and bread. I'm avoiding the foie gras. That's fine. So then there's the snails, and we all take some snails and put them on our plate. And I'm like, I'm so excited. I'm like, dudes, because I love escargot. I've had it in French restaurants. But this is a different preparation of it. So they put it on their plate, and then I go, all right, I can't wait to see you guys. Let's do it. So they each try the snails. And they're like, oh my God, that doesn't taste like anything that how I thought it would taste. I go, yeah, it has a earthy taste. It's like mushrooms, right? And it's almost the same texture. And they're like, yeah, oh my God, it's really good. And so I take the snails and I put them on my fork and I put them in my mouth and I'm eating them. And I fucking hate them. Hate them. Because I've been in French restaurants and I've had classically prepared escargot, which is with garlic butter. Okay. So in reality, what I'm eating is garlic butter and there just happens to be a fake mushroom type snail in the middle of it. Well, this time the snails are absolutely at the forefront of the dish and they're prepared in a red wine type of reduction. And then there's a broth and it's dudes, I hated them. It tasted like licking a battery. I mean, it was fucking horrible for me. And so I ate what was on my plate and then there's more snails and I'm like, who wants more snails? I could not wait to tear into the lobster salad just because I wanted to get the fuck as far away as I could from the snails. They were and then the foie gras. And luckily, Brandy and Seth are starving because they've been running around all day. So they're eating all the foie gras. They eat all the snails. They eat Brandy's appetizer. We get the bread. And they're like, do you want more bread? And I'm like, yeah. I look at them. They're like, we don't really need more bread. I'm like, bring more bread. Because I can't eat these snails, but I didn't say that. And they brought it over and we're eating and we're tearing apart the rest of and the appetizers get eaten by them. Basically, I ate the lobster salad and whatever. I can't remember what brand you ordered, but it was so good. It was something plain but good. Not plain, but I mean it was potatoes and it was but it was delicious. So they clear we finish the appetizers and they clear them away, except they leave the snails for some reason. I'm like, take the fucking snails. And then they bring our food and they each get a ribeye and they've got their and we get our side dishes and then I bring my short ribs and I bite into the short ribs. Holy shit, amazing. Amazing. Thank God. Thank God. After the snail debacle, I'm like, if these short ribs are bad, I'm going to flip the table and run out. Literally, I'll just write them a check for $6,000 and leave. Because I'm trying to be all cool and classy, and they're being very nice, and they're eating everything. But I ate these short ribs, and they were fucking retarded. You can cut them with a fork. Literally, and their steak the same way. You can cut their steak with a fork, and we're eating, and we're talking, and we're getting along. I'm being funny and they're being funny. I should say that's the thing is they're not quiet. they want to talk. And also when the food comes, I said, Brandy, did you want some wine with your entree? She's like, absolutely. So we call the guy over. He pops a wine and she swishes it in her mouth and she tastes it and she knows what she's doing. Because Karen's the same way. Karen knows wine. And I'm amazed that Brandy's young and like, this isn't the Brandy who wrote me. This isn't the indecisive Brandy who wrote me 75 emails. This is a confident Brandy who knows stuff about wine and is willing to eat snails and make me look stupid. So she takes the wine and she tastes it because on their recommendation we get her, and she just gets a glass, and we're eating. They're eating the ribeye, and then we're all eating off each other's plates because I can't eat a lot of food. That's another thing too. So I'm like, please have at it. If you want some short ribs, please have some. And so they did. They had some. I had a piece of their steak, and we're all eating off each other's plates, and then we're enjoying the appetizers. Everything's really good, and then they brought these side vegetables that I wanted, and everything's great. And we're there for like an hour and a half eating, almost 2 hours. It's amazing. And rich people are walking around and they see me with a suit coat and they nod because they know I'm one of them. And I'm like, well, I was paid $6,000 just to come to this restaurant, jerks. So we're getting along, and then I'm pretty full near the end of the meal, and we finish eating, and then they come over and they go, hey, did you guys want desserts? I can bring a dessert menu. I go, yeah, you know what, just bring a dessert menu. Why not? And they bring it over, and then Brandy and Seth are like, you know what, we have cake like in our room. Like if you wanted to we don't need to get dessert. We made cakes.
Oh my God.
I'm like, what do you mean cakes? They go, we made 2 whole cakes and they're in our room. I'm like, well, how the fuck are you planning on getting those home? We're like, we don't know. That's why I'm telling you there's cake if you want cake. Well, let's take a look at the dessert menu and then maybe we can decide whether we're just going to go eat cakes in your room with our hands. I'm wearing a suit coat. Are you aware of that? You peasants. So they bring the menu and I look at it and it's one of those things again where I look at them and I can't decide because all the desserts look really good. So I show it to them and then Brandy's like, well, they had a key lime something and she's like, key lime, I'm in. I go, wait a minute. You come from Florida where they have key limes. They're so prevalent. They're amazing there. And she goes, yes, that's why I love key lime. And I go, then why are you coming to New York and getting something with key lime in it? You're just inevitably going to be disappointed. It's not as good as the key lime in Florida. She goes, or because I'm in a really fancy joint, they're going to show me what key lime is always supposed to taste like my entire life. Ooh. And I'm like, I never thought about that. Why are you saying things like this? I'm the one in the suit. And she didn't say it in so many words like that, but literally she's just like, no, maybe it's the best key lime I've ever had. I'm like, oh, okay, all right. Yeah, I guess so. So she wants that. And then Seth is looking and I'm like, do you want anything on here? And he's like, well, I think I'm just going to get a little dish of sorbet. They had a apple sorbet or something. So he gets that and then she wants the key lime thing. So then I look and I ordered 3 desserts. I did because you know what? They all looked good. And I'm like, I want to try a bite of all of them. So I'm like, yeah, what the hell? Let's do this. So there was a sorbet dish that had it was a spiced pear sorbet, and I got that, and then there was and I didn't want chocolate, I like fresh. So I ordered a couple of other desserts that looked amazing, and I'm like, dude, bring all the desserts. So they did, and they brought the desserts, and we just started eating them, and oh my dude, I didn't even eat the key lime thing because the other stuff was so good, and we're wolfing through the desserts, and it's like now we're there 3 hours, and the restaurant is emptying out, and they bring the bill. And it was healthy. Do I need to say how much it was? How much dinner was?
Why not?
All right, it was $300 before tip and stuff. You know what I mean? No, I didn't think so either. Because one time I took my friends. The time when the fucking rental car got stolen, that dinner was like $680. So it's a $300 dinner for the 3 of us. You know what I mean? And that's not bad at all because we ate like maniacs. But that's 4 appetizers, 3 desserts, a dish of sorbet, and fucking short ribs and all sorts of bullshit.
All sorts of bullshit.
That's right. That was the second menu that they brought. And then they bring the check, and I paid for dinner. And then the 2 of them are just like, why are you paying for dinner? And I said, come on, I'm paying for dinner. Why not? I wanted to go to one nice fancy place. I guess you guys would have never come here if it wasn't for me. So this one absolutely is on me. And they're like, great. Okay, thank you so much. And they're nice. And so then we're gonna finish dessert, and I ordered a hot chocolate. They had homemade hot chocolate with honey vanilla whipped cream. Oh no, honey marshmallows, homemade honey marshmallows, and real vanilla whipped cream. So they bring the desserts and they bring my hot chocolate, and we're eating, and everything is so and just like I said, I get the check and I go to sign it, and again I just felt classy. Like I was I was their chaperone. You know what I mean? I got my suit on, and they're there, and they're like kind of like little kids looking around, and I'm like, let's eat snails, and we'll do this. I'm calling all the shots, and I'm very, very sophisticated. And they bring the hot chocolate, and I'm like, oh my god, it's so good. You guys have to try it. So they each tried the hot chocolate, and then the like honey marshmallows, and so the cup, it's in a mug. It's in an actual mug. So I keep grabbing it by the body of the mug instead of the little handle, and to give them a sip. But whenever I drink it, I'm taking it by the little handle because I want to pretend like I'm fancy. Okay. So I'm very fancy. I'm holding the mug by the handle. I'm drinking it, and I'm putting it down, and we're talking. And they what was the other? There was it was like this amazing. I can't remember what the fuck it was. It was this dessert that tasted great with the hot chocolate. So I took a bite of it, and then I picked up my hot chocolate, and I go to pick it up, and I'm holding it by the mug. And as I'm talking to them, I drop my mug of hot chocolate. The sophisticated guy in the suit, holding the mug of hot chocolate by its little O-ring, like there on the side, and I pick it up and I'm talking, and it literally, I fumble it, I'm like, oh, and I drop it, and it pours hot chocolate all over my suit, but I grab it in midair. Like I fumbled it and I dropped it and then I grabbed it, but when I grabbed it, it splooshed and it spilled homemade honey marshmallow and vanilla whipped cream and hot chocolate all down the front of my suit coat, onto my turtleneck that I'm wearing and onto my pants. The sophisticated guy, the 44-year-old who's supervising, spilled a child's hot chocolate all over himself. And I was so fucking mad. I was so mad at myself. But they laughed. They were like, to them, I think they thought I was Laurel and Hardy, like doing a bit for them or something. Because it looked amazing. Like I dropped it, and I grabbed it, and then it just splooshed all over me. I'm like, fuck. And look, I haven't worn my suit in forever, okay? But for some reason, when the hot chocolate spilled onto my suit, it smelled like someone took a shit in a toilet filled with milk. I don't know what it was, but it reacted to my suit in such a way where it was like the smell of the chocolate was like interacting with like bad suit, and my suit was clean, but it's just I haven't worn it in a while. It's been in a closet and in its suit clothes, like in its disguise, whatever the fuck that thing you zip over it. Yeah. So it just smelled awful, and then it was on my shirt and my pants, and I'm like, oh, dudes, I don't want to leave. I'm waiting for Colicchio himself to come out and just go out. Because we saw him. He was there too, by the way. He walked through, and I was like, that's Tom Colicchio from Top Chef. And he walked through. So I'm sitting there soaked. I'm soaked in hot chocolate, and they're just like, oh, it's okay. And like they're comforting me now. I'm supposed to comfort you. So we go outside, we leave, and I'm trying to air out as I've got literally hot chocolate on my leg, hot chocolate on my shirt, hot chocolate on my jacket coat. And jacket coat? So we walk outside, and I'm like, all right. I go, so what are we doing? Are we seeing the city? Or are we, you guys are probably beat, right? You got to be beat at this point. Because you were running around all day, and then you had to go to Jersey, and then we had dinner. And now our reservation was for 9, so it's now like 11:45. And we walk outside, and they're just like, you know what? We're pretty tired. We're going to go back to the hotel. And all right, well, so we hailed a cab, and the cab comes, and Brandy and Seth get in the back seat. And I go, all right. I go, slide over, Seth. And he goes, what? And I jammed myself into the back seat, like with them, on purpose to be silly. And I closed the door, and the guy's like, where are we going? And I told him, and he's like, all right. And poor Seth is in the middle. And I go, we probably should have rethought this, I would imagine. And he's like, yeah, probably. But they're smashing, their arms are up. And if there's a car, I said to him, I go, the good news is there's a car accident, we're fine. I go, because we're wedged together, we're essentially, we're each other's airbags. Nothing bad is going to happen to us. And so the guy's driving, and so then I start talking to the cab driver, ask where he's from, what he's doing, say his name. We're talking, and they're laughing because they're like, "Why are you talking to people?" And he gets us back to the hotel, and I pay the cabbie, and I look at them, and they're like, "All right, well, we'll see you tomorrow." And I go, "All right, well, what's the plan for tomorrow?" And it dawns on me that I have not told you guys, we had made plans for Saturday, when Brandy was texting me to tell me about their delays and things like that. I apologize, I forgot this. She said, "Hey, tomorrow, we're going to go to the Statue of Liberty. And so if you want to come, that would be cool. But if you don't, I understand." And I'm like, why? Who does? First of all, who doesn't want to go to the Statue of Liberty? Second of all, you know you paid me to be here, right? So part of me is like, I'm trying to figure out the fact whether she keeps saying that like she doesn't really want me to come, because I'm used to being, the stupid detective who tries to figure shit out instead of just taking things at face value. So I'm like, well, why does she keep telling me I don't have to come if I don't want to? Like she's essentially telling me that she doesn't want me to come, which is fine. But that's a lie. That's bullshit. She wants me to come, but she thinks she's imposing upon me. But why are you imposing on me? You rented me for the weekend. It's fine. So she had sent me a text and she said to me, it's this. We got to take a cruise. We take the boat out to the Statue of Liberty. And she said, try to get a ticket. So I went online to look for a ticket earlier in the day, I should say. And as I was looking, I went and it said that there were no tickets left. And I'm like, oh, so I wrote her and I go, they're saying there's no tickets. She's like, oh, well, I mean, if that's not going to work out, she goes, she goes, it's Liberty Cruises, whatever. And I was at Statue Cruises or something. So I went to her website and looked, and it was $13 for a ticket. I go, $13 or $21? She goes, no, 13. So I went and I bought a ticket. I bought it online. Done. And so I knew what we were doing the next day. I knew we were going to the Statue of Liberty. I just didn't know and the cruise was at 9:30 a.m. And now it's, we get to the hotel, it's about 10 after 12. And you know me, I've still got like 8 hours ahead of me. I don't go to bed until fucking 10 a.m. So I said to her, I go, all right, we get outside the W, and I said, what's up for tomorrow? And she goes, well, I figured we could meet at 9 o'clock, and we can either take a cab or walk over to where we leave from. And I go, well, you know where we're going, right? She goes, yeah, I know exactly where we're going. I checked it out on my phone. It's like a half mile away. I said, okay. I said, well, I can walk. I'm up for walking because it's the city and stuff, but I just need to know that you know exactly where we're going. She goes, yeah, I've done this before. I took this trip before. I go, all right, that's fine. We've talked before and you weren't sure about things. I said, as long as you know where we're going, I'll trust you. That's fine. She goes, okay. So I say goodbye to them, and Seth is still like, he's just like, I can't believe you're here. I said, yeah, me neither. So I say goodnight to them and I go over to my hotel room, and I go up to my room and I try to, in my head, I'm like, well, you got to go to sleep at a certain time because you got to be up early. And it's like 12:30 and I kill some time. I go online and finally I make myself go to bed at 4. I'm like, just fucking go to bed, dude. And then I lay there from 4 to 4:30 thinking about all of the people outside, thinking about the fucking ghosts in the cemetery and where I'm at. I'm like, oh, dude. So finally, they usher me off to dreamland on their icy, 30,000 fingertips, and so I go to sleep, and I have a wake up call for the morning, and she had said that she wanted to meet, like I said, at 9. We had to be over there at 9 o'clock, so she wanted to meet at 8:30 outside of the W. I said okay, so I set my clock to go off at 8, or not my clock, wake up call at 8 o'clock, and then I would get up, jump in the shower, and roll. So I get the wake-up call at 8 o'clock. I pick it up, and I'm like, they're right across the street. It's not that big a deal. So I put the phone down, and I close my eyes, and then I open them again at 8:30, which is when I'm supposed to be meeting them. And so I grab my phone, and I'm like, I'm sorry, I overslept. I'll be down there really quick. So I jump in the shower, do a super fast shower just to wash my hair and stuff, and I brush my teeth while I'm in the shower. Fucking suds in my eyes. I'm just trying to fly through it. Get out, get dressed, and I go downstairs. It only took me like 12 minutes. So I get down there at like 8:42, and they're in the lobby down at the W, and I go, all right, let's go. So we walk, and we walk to Battery Park. I recognize kind of where I'm at because I had gotten lost there earlier. And we walk over to Battery Park, and she starts talking. She's like, oh my gosh. She goes, you know what? They have these vendors who sell like nuts outside. She goes, we have to get some. And I said, okay, well, I'm cool with that. Just tell me, where it is. And she's telling Seth about him, and Seth kind of still, by the way, Seth doesn't know where we're going. She hasn't told Seth. We're just walking, and he has no clue what's going to happen. So that's the way she's handling it. She's not telling him anything. So I can't say anything. I'm like, all right. So we go and we walk to Battery Park, and then as we get to Liberty Island, I don't know what the fuck it's called. Who knows? And that's where you got to catch the boat. So, and we walk up, and there's like vendors there selling the nuts. And I'm like, I go, all right, did you want any of these? She's like, no, I want them. It's too early. We'll get them later. I'm like, well, when later? I go, they're here now. Just get them and eat them and carry them. And she's like, no, it's fine. And I'm like, oh, because I wanted them. But I didn't want to buy a bag of them and then nobody else ate them because then I wouldn't eat them. Then I got to carry them all fucking day. I'd rather buy them and she could carry them. I'm a sneaky dick. So, but then she didn't want them. So then we go to get on the boat, and we have to walk to the front and get our tickets at will call. And when you do that, you have to bring the credit card you bought the ticket with. And I left my credit cards back in the room. because I didn't want to carry them with me. I had taken them out of my wallet the previous day and hidden them in my room because that's what I do. Just in case somebody steals my wallet, I don't want them to have everything that I own. So I just keep my, the 2 cards that I desperately need in my wallet, and then I hide everything else because I'm dumb. So I didn't have it. And I'm waiting in line, and Brandy looks at me and she's like, I don't have my credit card. And the person in front of us didn't have their card either, and they're putting them through the ringer. And I said, I'm going to have to just use all of my charm and charisma and hopefully get on the boat. And so Brandy and Seth go ahead of me, and they have their cards because they're good little children. I get to the front of the line, and I said, hey, I do not have the credit card. And she's like, what's your name? And I said, Mike Schmidt. And she's going to look it up, and she's like, all right, and you don't have the credit card? I go, you know what? I have several credit cards that say Mike Schmidt on them. And if you see that, I can tell you exactly, I can tell you what time I called. I can tell you the website. And I start putting on the show, basically. And so then I'm like, are you alone in there? Is there anybody else I can talk to? And she was helping, but she was being nice. But I was still making it silly because I'm just hoping that I could dance as fast as I could, and then she would let me on the boat. She's like, well, without a credit card, we're really not supposed to let you on the boat. I said, I understand that. I do have a credit card. However, it is not the one that I used to purchase it. I can show it to you. As a matter of fact, if you want to go ahead and run a little something for yourself, maybe work something out. And she laughed, thankfully. And then she's really icily looking at the list. And then she just goes, all right, go ahead. And she hands me my thing. Yay, I got a ticket. So then we walk over to get on the boat. And then we got it to the zigzag. And then to get on the goddamn boat to go to the Statue of Liberty, there's TSA again. But you can't get in the statue. I mean, I don't know what the fuck. Am I going to bring a slingshot? What the fuck? But I got to go through. You got it again, and they make me. I should tell you, they make me take my belt off, which is bad because I mentioned to you folks I've been losing weight, so my pants are baggy, and I need a belt. Normally, you wear a belt because you're a human being, but now I wear a belt because I need it to hold my pants up, and so I took the belt off, and I'm literally holding my pants up like a fisherman. You know what I mean? Just like. I throw my stuff on the belt and we go through, and then I've got to, look, fat guy putting on belt is not pretty. So when I have to go and put my belt on, I'm trying to do it, and Brandy and Seth are like, well, let's go on the boat. I'm like, fat guy's got to put on his belt. Relax. If I take 3 steps, everybody here gets to see what everybody in my hotel room saw, and it's not happening. So I go ahead and I put the belt on. I grab everything else, keys and whatnot, and we drive it. Really, holy shit. I'm talking a lot, folks. So we go to get on the boat, and none of it's funny. It's just that literally this is just a travelogue. This is just if you took a trip to New York and you bought the audio tour and put on the headphones, this is what you would hear. You would hear about a fat guy who couldn't buy any nuts and spilled hot chocolate over himself. Those are the highlights of New York City. So we go ahead. We finally get on the boat, and Brandy's like, we got to get to the top deck. We got to get to the top deck and get a seat. She goes, I'm thinking it's pretty cold, so nobody's going to want to get on the top deck. And I go, well, first of all, it's not that cold. It was like 50 degrees in New York. It was amazing. It was 45, 50 degrees. It's cold for here, but for there, absolutely not. I expected it to be fucking Arctic. So we get on the boat and we kind of hustle and we go to the top, and you can't move on the top of the boat. It's just covered in Asians. I mean, it's like literally just the pride of Asians has moved, and they've now taken over the top row of the boat. Top row. I mean, it's not a row. It's a deck. If there was a top row on the boat, that would be an awkward boat. No, this boat's got 3 decks. There's a top deck full of Asians. Then there's a middle deck where you can see the ocean and things like that. And then underneath, there's another deck with just windows and a snack bar. And seats. Guess what? That's where I want to go. But they're like, no, we can't. We got to sit up here. And I'm like, all right, fine. So we go up to the top, to the middle deck. And it was amazing, I will say, because as we're driving, I'm not driving, but the boat takes off from from Liberty Island. And as you're getting further away, you can see the skyline, and then we're heading to the Statue of Liberty, so I'm taking pictures, but I'm holding my iPhone, and I just know someone's going to jostle me and knock it off into the water, so I'm not taking that many pictures. I take a picture of Brandy and Seth, and I asked Seth, I'm like, are you cool with me being here? Are we still all right? And he's like, yeah, it was just, yesterday was such a shock. It was so strange. And I should tell you, Brandy and Seth could not have been nicer to me. Like, because they could have been, because I'm weird, dude. And I talk a lot and I'm fucking ridiculous and they don't know what they're getting into. But they were so friendly and nice. At dinner, we kind of broke the ice. I was glad that we got to spend a dinner where we just relaxed and then went home. That kind of deal. Because it made spending the next 2 days together all day palatable. So this is New Year's Eve, I should say. And we're on the boat and we're riding and we're floating out. And I look at Seth and I go, you know, it's funny. I had looked into getting a cruise for us for New Year's Eve. And he goes, oh, really? I said, yeah, it was going to be amazing. There was DJs, there was dinner. You could buy tickets. It would have been fun. And he goes, oh, that sounds great. And I go, yeah. Brandy said she gets motion sickness on a boat. And he goes, oh, I think that's true. And I go, oh, well, I'm glad she planned our Saturday on a boat.
You're a dick.
And she looks up and she's like, well, no, it's the only way to get to the Statue of Liberty. I go, I get it. I'm teasing. At the same time, you did say you get motion sickness on a boat, right? You did say that? I'm not crazy. And she's like, yes, I do, and I did. And I go, all right, I just wanted to make sure. So I go, are you going to launch on me on here? Are you got to get to the railing? Are you going to vomit? Is that why you want to get to the top deck? What's the story? She's like, no, I'm fine. I go, all right. Just want to make sure. So then I tell Seth, I tell Seth a bit about what happened. Like, remember last week's show where I kept telling you about the emails back and forth? I then tell Seth that. Hey, we're going back and forth about planning stuff, and she keeps telling me we're not doing it, and then we are, and we're not doing it. And then I said, I called her once, and you were on the couch next to her, and she had to run away. He's like, oh, I think I remember that. I go, yeah. And this has been going on for like 6 weeks, dude. He's like, oh, that's amazing. I still can't believe you're here. I said, good. So we're driving, and then we're making fun of other boats, and we're waiting for Somali pirates. You know, I'm just because I'm being an idiot. But the best part is they fall right in with me. You know what I mean? Like I'm every boat that would go by. Seth's funny. It was cracking me up because Brandy told me, she's like, Seth has a real sense of humor, and he kind of wants to be a comedian. And I'm like, she's like, I hope you'll talk to him about that. And I said, well, I'll talk to him about it if he wants me to talk to him about it. He's, you know, I don't want to sit there and go, you sit down with a pipe, you know what I mean, a smoking jacket. And then in my day of comedy, you know, fuck that. It's ridiculous. Instead, it was better. We didn't have to talk about that because he was just funny. You know what I mean? It was like he was able to trade, which is really, I mean, granted, half the time they sat back and watched me talk and were just like, dude, what the hell? Yeah, exactly. They took in Monkey Hour. But then when they participated, when Seth would joke or Brandy would joke, it was great because they were funny and they had senses of humor, which made me happy. So we're riding on the boat and we're driving, and I got to tell you, we finally get to the Statue of Liberty boat, and I'm seeing it. I'm taking pictures of it. You can see it from the water, and I've never been. And then we get off, and then, you know, you get herded off onto the island, and we walk around. And as I'm walking, there's these panels of information that tell you stuff, so you have to stop and read. And other people are just walking right past, and I'm like, fuck that, I'm going to read every goddamn word on this island. And I should tell you this, the weather was like about 50 degrees, and I'm wearing a coat, and it's brisk, and then there's the Statue of Liberty right in the background. It's right there, and I keep seeing these panels, and we've all done it, where you are brought back instantly to a moment in time. I've never been at the Statue of Liberty, but I had been on so many field trips in school where you would go out and you'd have to read information on panels and things like that. So I kept calling it school. I go, wait, more school. So I felt like I was 11 again. It was like, you know, I'm drawing Van Halen logos on my thing, and then we go on a fucking a crazy field trip. And so I would stop and I would read all of the information, and I learned about patination, and I learned about the Statue of Liberty. It was amazing to read these things because, again, you just think it's the Statue of Liberty and what the fuck, who cares, and it's there. But until you actually, once you really, it's what I say, when you tell a joke and you think literally about it, you're dead. You know, if you tell a joke literally and it's like two dogs walk into a bar, if you literally think of that joke and two dogs walked into a bar and you laugh your ass off because you're like, that's ridiculous. It's retarded. It would never happen. Well, that's the same way with the Statue of Liberty. The Statue of Liberty, you're just like, well, whatever, the Statue of Liberty. I've seen it a million times. It's a joke at this point. But no, when you get there and you actually read about the history of it and why it's here and and again, I'm being fucking schmaltzy, but who cares? When you read, we would walk and I'd see a panel, I'd go, school. And I'd make fucking Seth and Brandy come over with me, and I would read the school, and then I would walk at school. Saw another panel, I'd go over and read it, because I was on a field trip. I was 11 years old again, and I was on a goddamn field trip. And I was surrounded by foreigners. I should tell you that. That's the most amazing thing to me. No Americans go see the Statue of Liberty. It is just foreigners constantly. Every single one of these people is speaking a different language. There's Germans and French and the Pride of Asians, as I've mentioned. There's from all over, and they're all taking pictures and they're posing and they're doing that weird pose where they're holding it in their hand, you know, and they're in the foreground. Like, what is wrong with you people? Read the school. Read the importance of this. God damn it! I didn't know who built the Statue of Liberty. Did you know who did?
Who?
Gustav Eiffel. That's right.
Eiffel Tower?
Yes.
Wow.
Yes, I'm sure you know that. Of course you do. I don't know anything about it because I don't study. I failed high school, remember? But Gustav Eiffel, he built the tower. He built the inside, and then they showed a diagram of it, and I looked at it. You know what's inside the Statue of Liberty? The Eiffel Tower. And then I read about it, and it said it had a thing about Gustav Eiffel, and it said that he then based his design on the Eiffel Tower on what he had built for the Statue of Liberty later. So Gustav Eiffel is a hack. That guy built one thing his entire life, and he kept giving it away to everybody. Yeah, let's make a statue out of it. We'll make a tower out of it. I'm sure he built like all sorts of like all those paperweights and shit. He created them. Gustav Eiffel. He thought of, you know what? And he's probably walking around he's like, yeah, I thought of that tower idea. It's a tower, dickhead. It's 4 legs and it goes in the air. Essentially, you looked at your cock and went, hey, I can make that in wire and frames and put 4 legs on it. Done. That's what you did. And that's what's inside the fucking Eiffel Tower, or the Statue of Liberty. It's the Eiffel Tower, and they covered it in copper. And then also, I didn't know that it was copper, and then the weather turned it green. And again, folks, I recognize you know all of this stuff, okay? But I'm a child. I had no fucking clue. And when I'm walking around reading that stuff, it's amazing. And I was really affected by it. So I'm looking at the green, and I'm realizing, and then it explains that there are, if you look in New York, there are 3 buildings who at the very top have the exact same copper top that is turned green. And it's the same thing. And also they said that the corrugated metal that covers the harbor is also copper that turned green. And I turned my head, and there it was. It was green. It was just like the Statue of Liberty. It was amazing. Just learning facts. Facts. Folks, I love facts. I'm folks, you love facts. We all love facts, folks. All right. So I'm learning, I'm in school, and then I come up on another panel. And I look at it, and it says it's about the new Colossus. So I read it, and apparently the new Colossus it was a sonnet, okay? And it was written by Emma Lazarus, I think was her name, Emma Lazarus. And it's the tired, you're poor, you're huddled masses. It's that thing. Which is, but I read it, and it says the new Colossus was a sonnet written by Emma Lazarus when she was 23 in an attempt to raise funds for the building of the Statue of Liberty. And I read that, and I was like, that's amazing that anyone ever thought writing a sonnet would help raise funds for building anything in this country. That's how far we've come. Like right now, because now when something happens, they have a telethon and they have like rock bands and shit like that. No, back then they had this mousy little like half lesbian looking chick who wrote a sonnet, and it caught on. It worked. That's the fucking thing that's amazing to me. She was trying to raise money for the pedestal. It was like not just the statue, because they gave us the statue, but they had to build the pedestal. So she wrote it. Literally, everybody else is like, hey man, what can we do? We can contribute. And she's like, I'm going to write a sonnet. And hopefully enough people will give money because of this. Nobody. Who gives money because of a sonnet? Everybody. Back then, everyone gave money because that's what America used to be. God damn it, a sonnet used to rally us and get us to go ahead and move forward with the project, and now we're all at each other's throats. We need a good sonnet writer. Does Emma Lazarus have any relations? Is there anybody out there who can just craft a good sonnet and bring us all together as a nation? We need to come together, folks, behind a sonnet. I need to write a sonnet. Maybe I write a sonnet, God damn it. I can't write a sonnet. I was going to drink soup out of a shot glass. What the fuck who am I kidding? I have no class. I can't write a sonnet. I can't type with 2 pinkies in the air. That's not happening. Somebody write a sonnet and raise some goddamn money. It was astonishing to me that, like I said, she wrote the sonnet, and then it worked. And then it had the tired, you're poor, you're huddled messes, and that caught on. Like everybody's like, oh, remember that sonnet? No, I don't. To me, that's just, so I'm amazed by it. I'm stunned. That was more school that I learned. So then we walk around the back of the statue, and then they have other statues. There's like little statues in the back of the regular statue. Not little. They're tiny. They're little, like lawn sculptures almost, like gnomes. So they had a Gustav Eiffel lawn gnome, and you're reading on it, and it's like, he's like, once he set up the tower, and then, 5 years later, he's like, hey, I should build the Eiffel Tower. And it's like, yeah, you hack, whatever, Eiffel. But all of those statues were given by somebody. It said donated by generous monies from Mr. Richard Cranston and whatever. But my favorite one, there was a statue of a guy, was it Pulitzer? It might have been a statue of Pulitzer who because there's another thing. Pulitzer was a guy who ran a newspaper, but then he commissioned people to build these statues. Like who are these Renaissance men? People now are inventing websites that show surreptitious camera photos of women in dressing rooms. That's what people are inventing now. Back then, Pulitzer is a guy running a newspaper who commissions the French to build a statue, and then they fly it over here. Jesus Christ. People are writing sonnets? No. Now we've got the dirty and areyouup.com. Jesus Christ. Is it areyouawake.com or areyouup.com? Yeah, don't go. Just brutal. Who's up at this hour.com or why are you still trying to figure this out.com? I have no idea what it's called. So they got the statues back there, and they're donated so the one from Pulitzer, I read it, and it says then at the bottom, dedicated by Mr. and Mrs. Ronald Cohen. I was like, well, that's amazing that the Cohen family would step forward and go ahead and donate some money for the Pulitzer statue. Got to say, I'm a little disappointed that Mrs. Cohen doesn't get her name on the statue. How fucking rude is that? Mr. and Mrs. Ronald Cohen. I picture the unveiling. They've got like the drop cloth over it. They're proudly beaming. There's Mr. Cohen, and of course there's Wilma Cohen right there at his side, excited. And they go, all right, well, let's unveil the statue. Whomp! They pull it and they just drop it down, and it just is right at the bottom, presented by Mr. and Mrs. Ronald Cohen. And Wilma Cohen just stares at it, and everybody claps, and it settles down, and they say, hey, anybody want to say a few words? And Wilma Cohen is just like, I should have written a fucking sonnet. This place is lousy with Emma Lazarus' name. But no, I should have written a fucking sonnet. Wilma Cohen is pissed. So we walk around, we're looking at the fucking statues. It's amazing. I'm stopping, I'm reading school. And then like all of a sudden there's like guys who, the Jellystone Park Ranger dudes, they're walking around like in their outfits and they're telling people history of the place. And Seth and I are laughing because we're learning about patination and we're quizzing one another about copper reactions. And Brandy's having a good time. I think I'm just speaking for Brandy right now. She might have been having a good time. This was her idea. So we walk all the way around the statue. And I took a bunch of pictures of the statue. I took pictures of them. And then I would text them the photos so they had them. And then I'm taking pictures for myself for the statues. It's amazing. It's you don't think about it until you're there. Again, it's just a joke, a punchline. It's something you see in movies until you're standing at the feet of it and you're looking up and going, oh my God, or at the foot of it, I guess. Well, no, the feet of it. She's got both feet. Yeah, take that. So then we come around and then we get to the truly important part. There's a gift shop and a museum. So we pop into the museum, and then they have a timeline, and there's a timeline of monuments all over the United States, but they're playing the History Channel on a loop, the Statue of Liberty. And then it dawns on me that if I just once turned on the History Channel, I could have learned everything that I just learned, and I wouldn't be so surprised by patination and copper reactions and green fucking tops of buildings. Because I watched that on a loop. It was only like 10 minutes, and it was amazing. It all the stuff I'd learned in school, I learned along with the History Channel. I was almost like yelling out answers. Patination! Emma Lazarus! New Colossus! And everyone's looking at me, and I'm waiting for them to go, yeah, attaboy. So we walk in there, and we look at the museum, and then we walk out, and then there's a little gift shop over there. And we pop our heads in, and then we walk in, because, what was it Brandy wanted to do? She wanted change. That's what it was. She needed change to get those. They have those the penny that marks it. So she wanted to get that, and so we had to buy something at the gift shop. So she bought like a fucking literally. This made me laugh at Brandy. She's like, I need change. I'm gonna go buy a pork sandwich. Like it was just the most. It's 9 a.m, but she wanders over and it's what they had. No, it was onion rings. Onion rings is what she bought because they had people were buying French fries and they were like crinkle cut French fries. And I'm looking at them like, these are the best looking French fries I've ever seen in my life at a fucking gift shop. I want them. I must have them. I go, fuck you. Don't eat French fries at 10 a.m. Don't do it. So then Brandy's like, I need change, and she gets onion rings. I'm like, no way. So we go to sit down and she gets her change and she goes, well, now we got to get the onion rings before we go to the penny machine. So we sit down and we split the three of us split onion rings. And then this is the worst. Out on the patio, they had tables and chairs, but inside they had tables with like butt plugs to sit on. I mean, it was the most uncomfortable thing I've ever had my ass on ever. This is what it looked like. It looked like fists, like literally that just went up your ass and held you in place. It was like, this is where the puppets eat. It was like the most amazing. I took a picture of this. And it was funny. I took a picture and Brandy's like, why are you taking a picture of that? You're going to Twitter it? And I go, no, I just want to remember this. I can't. The pain in my ass will be enough to remember it, but I need to remember to talk about it on the show. These like weird, they weren't even like full-size seats or benches. It looked like you were sitting on a black Tic Tac. It was so fucking awful. So then we ate the onion rings. Then we went over we got the pennies that she made. She made like 3 of them, and it was fun to watch because then they went through the little machine and they dropped down. That was fun. And then we walk outside in the back and we go out into where all the seats are. School. There's more school. So I go over and I read about the fact that the French, not only did they have that statue, but then they had this giant, the guy who helped design it, not Gustave Eiffel, but the other guy who helped design it, he created a lion statue to commemorate the defending of some French island. And they had a picture of it. It was like fucking 1,000 feet tall. And these guys are standing to dedicate it. I'm like, who the fuck makes those? Nobody makes that shit anymore. Everybody invents websites where you can cheat on your wife. That's all they come up with now. Literally, AshleyMadison.com is the pinnacle of our achievement at this point. Back then, they're building statues that are monsters. They're amazing, like this transcontinental ships, but not now. No, I went over on a harbor barge, trying not to get picked off by Somali pirates as Seth and I avoided Asians. God damn it, what happened? We used to build things in this country. I know they built the statue in France. They used to build things in France too. Get off my back. Dear sir, you're comparing us to not building anything as the making a handicapped person stand in the train of all stories. All right. So I go and I read more School, and we're checking it all out. It's fantastic. And then we come back around the building, and we're on the other side. And you know what? I might have told this out of order. We might have wound up at the gift shop later. And this, regardless, as we came around from the statue, I look over, and there's a housing compartment, like it's a big display, and there's a motorcycle in it. And I look at it, I'm like, what the fuck is that? So we start approaching it, and I should tell you this, there's people taking pictures of the Statue of Liberty, and there's people reading this, there's a couple people reading the School, and they're all checking out the words. There's 150 people around this motorcycle. So we cautiously approach. And as we get closer, the motorcycle is made of copper. It's all copper. And as I get closer, I look at Seth and I go, let me tell you something. If this was made by those fucking sleeveless idiots on that chopper show, I'm going to lose my mind. As we get closer, we see a sign that says the Liberty Bike. And we get close, and oddly enough, even though it does not need it, believe me, it did not need it. Because when you look, the Liberty Bike is copper, and the wheels, the spokes of the wheels, are Lady Liberty, like holding a torch. And then the chassis and the body, I don't know if there's a chassis on a motorcycle, don't make fun of me. Whatever it is, the body of the motorcycle is literally like her head. So I see that, and you can see, and all it is garishness. That's all it is. And when I see it in the box, I notice at the bottom of the box, it has School. There's School for the Liberty Bike. And in my head, I go, you know what? If anything here did not need explaining, it's this. It's this. Because sure enough, I get close and I see the School, and then right there at the base of the bike are those sleeveless idiots from that motherfucking chopper show. Just with their burly goatees and the kid with the mop of hair who looks like a Muppet. He actually looks like that guy looks like Andy Zaltzman from The Bugle. I don't know if you guys know The Bugle podcast. When I first saw Andy Zaltzman, I'm like, wait a minute, is he the kid from the Chopper Show, the retarded one? Because that show is essentially, it's like the mean dad, and then the kid who knows everything, and then the retarded one they make fun of. Because he's been inhaling chopper fumes his entire fucking life. So his brain doesn't work anymore, but yet they think that's hilarious. And then inevitably he'll build like a radio flyer, and they're like, yay! I mean, it's awful. So awful. I think I've watched 2 episodes of that fucking show. But this is the Liberty Bike. This is a bike they were commissioned to build out of leftover parts from the Statue of Liberty when they restored it. I cannot, I literally in my life, I have never seen anything more American than the Liberty Bike made. Like it was like they all went, fuck those Frenchies. Let's show them what we can do. And by doing that, you've shown them exactly what we can't do. You've proven my point. I rode over on a rickety boat. People are building websites. These guys created the fucking Statue of Liberty, and then a couple years later, the guy went, I'll make the Eiffel Tower out of the same fucking thing. And it's amazing. It's colossal. It's history. And then they got together, the goateed sleeveless idiots, to make the Liberty Bike. And you're reading it and you're looking around. There's a picture of Einstein. Like they had a quote from Einstein at the base of it talking about like nuclear fusion and liberty. And I'm just like, no, he does not belong here. Einstein himself, if he happened upon this scene, like, what do they think? That Einstein would grow a goatee and wear a sleeveless shirt because he'd be inspired by the fucking Liberty Bike? Get him off the Liberty Bike. He doesn't belong there. You know what's funny? You ever see that famous picture of Einstein where he's got his tongue out and his eyes bugged out? That was the second he heard about the Liberty Bike. They told them about their plans to make a Liberty motorcycle to match up with fucking Lady Liberty. And the thing that's even more awful about it, it has a huge crowd around it. And these guys are talking about it like it's an amazing achievement. These guys, and I'm laughing. I'm laughing out loud at it. And I keep taking pictures of it and mocking it. And Seth and I are both cracking up. And these other people are taking it seriously. Like, that's amazing. I wonder if it runs. Who cares if it fucking runs? I hope it does run. I'll take it out of this box and drive it right into the goddamn ocean. Jesus Christ. And you know what? It's copper. Open the windows and let it get patination. Let it get green like the Statue of Liberty. Do something. Quit making it. It's just so American. Jesus Christ, was it awful. That fucking, that motorcycle, you should start it and shoot hot dogs out of the goddamn exhaust pipe. Seth and I could not stop making fun of it. We're walking around just like laughing. I mean, it was so pathetic. And the people were even worse. That was the thing that drove me crazy. The only Americans that I found were looking at the Liberty bike.
Yeah.
Foreigners are taking pictures of the fucking, the Statue of Liberty and then curiously looking over at the white trash assholes who are just like wondering how fast the Liberty bike would drive. I wonder if Batman would ride the Liberty bike. Well, I would have bet he'd be in a fight with Spider-Man. Jesus fucking Christ. I point you in the direction of school, 5 steps away. Go read about Gustav Eiffel. Somebody who actually did something with their life. Not these idiots making motorcycles out of fucking leftover copper. Who commissioned it? Bush. It had to be Bush. It had to be. Who else would fucking commission that years ago? God damn it. Awful. Horrible. Horrible. Oh, we stared at it. I'm just like, I got to get the fuck out of here. We got to go. I took a million pictures of it. I'm making fun of it. We leave. So then it's time to get on the boat and we're going to split. And Brandy's like, well, now we're going to Ellis Island. And I said, I didn't buy a ticket for Ellis Island. She goes, no, it's all included. And I said, well, when I went on the website, it said it was extra money to go to Ellis Island. She's like, no, I think we're going to Ellis Island. So, okay, Brandy, I'm listening to you. She knew where the Battery Park was. She knew I'm in their hands. And quite frankly, even if we don't get Ellis Island, wherever the boat puts me, I'm going to be with them and that'll be fine. I'm doing my job. And it's so funny. I kept saying, I go, look, this is my job. Wherever you guys want to go, I'm fine. So then we get on the boat and we get to the top and there's nobody on the top of the boat. So we grab a row and it's amazing. We get to see the statue and we drive. And there's an asshat sitting in front of me. He's Canadian and there's a huge sign. This is totally true. I Twittered it. There's a huge sign that says keep off, and he has his feet up on it. He's sitting with his kids talking. And he didn't even do it to be ironic or funny. He just said fuck you sign, basically. And so I took a picture of that asshole. Because that's what I do. I take pictures of jerks. There's a million of me. And so we're riding the boat, and we go over to Ellis Island, and we deboard. And it was funny because, again, like I said, it's all foreigners. So essentially, it was like being in Ellis Island. It was like we might have been 100 mustaches and a bunch of straw baskets short of the trip. But it was just like being, on a ship coming across. And they have that audio. They're like, imagine if you were from another land and you came over and you saw the skyline, and then you knew you were going to Ellis Island to be processed in, and again you absorb that. You're like, holy shit, yeah. Because I'm pretty good at putting myself in other people's shoes, and so I'm thinking about being like I immediately started acting like an immigrant and started going Mamma Mia. I started yelling that at the top of my lungs. But we get off in Ellis Island. There's a big building, and it used to be they turned it into a few things, but then a few years ago they renovated it to look like it used to look, except they added a museum to it. So we walked in, and they were telling us there was an immigrant movie playing in 10 minutes, and I asked the guys if they wanted to go, and they were like, it's because it was a 45-minute movie. They're like, I don't know if I can go to a 45-minute movie. And honestly, I just wanted to sit down. I'll be truly honest with you. Show me an immigrant movie and I'll sit down. That's fine. But they didn't want to, so that's fine. So we walked in, and they had a display where they had a pile of a bunch of luggage, and it looked like the kind of luggage that people came over with, and man, you immigrants in the old days, you need to buy some suitcases. They get all their shit jammed into peach baskets and wrapped in blankets, and it just looked atrocious. I don't even know how the fuck they made the trip. So then it has a sign there about the luggage, and you're reading it. And again, there's school everywhere in Ellis Island, which is amazing. So I'm going to school and I'm reading everything, and it turns out I'm reading about the luggage. So it says here you'll see actual what's the word? Not imitations, actual impressions, no, actual replications of the luggage that many people used, and then it had black and white pictures of people with the exact same stuff, and it said immigrants checked their bags when they got on to the ship, and then it was unloaded, and they had to try to get their stuff from Ellis Island. And they said, but many immigrants didn't trust the checking process, so they would carry it throughout the ride on the ship. They didn't want to get it stolen because it's their life's possessions. Then, when they would get off the boat, they would carry it through the lines, the processing lines, bags and steamer trunks and kids, and just they showed people standing in line. It just looked, man. If I ever bitch about TSA again in my life, just fucking hit me in the head. Because Ellis Island had all of these people, and they're holding their steamer trunks and kids, and they're waiting, and there's lice. I'm sure there's lice all over those people because they're coming from another land. So they're waiting in line, and we go, and I'm reading it, and it said, it was wise of them to hold their luggage because oftentimes the American porters would take their luggage and hide it. And so then when they couldn't find it, they would charge them to look for it. And then they would charge them, they would say, oh, well, you know what, we'll ship it to wherever you're going in Brooklyn or wherever. And then they would charge them like quadruple what the normal rates were. And so I'm reading all this in school, and I'm like, wow, this doesn't really portray Americans in that great of a light as I'm reading this story. It seems odd. Because it seemed like a real rah-rah place. It's like, yeah, this is Ellis Island. This is where you go to become an American. But the first school that I experienced was telling me how bad Americans were. So I'm like, all right. So we go into the other room, and it's like, building a nation. So I start. You walk through, and you start reading school, and there's all sorts of school. And it's I think there's a section for the Irish, and a section for blacks, and a section for Germans coming over, and Swedes. And you're reading facts. There's a fact that it said, I think it said in 1921, there were more people in New York who had come over to New York than were from here. Like there were 2/3 more people who'd come to New York than actual natives or people who were born here. Which I guess doesn't really seem that remarkable when you think about it, but it's staggering when you really look at it. You're like, oh my God, really? And then people were coming every day, more and more and more and more people. So then as I'm reading more school, it talks about the Native Americans, and it has the thing about the Trail of Tears. And it says, many of the Native Americans were beaten and raped and left by the side of the road in front of their families. And, I'm reading, I'm like, this isn't very uplifting about America at all.
No.
I mean, I didn't know what I expected, but I certainly didn't expect to be reading about rape and the Trail of Tears. But I mean, all right, that's fine. It's school. I'm open-minded. I want to hear all of it. So then I go over to the slavery part. And it's talking about how these people were all, of course, brought. We know that they were all brought over their will, and they were saying that a lot of them were beaten and raped in front of their families and left by the side of the road, and are left by thrown off the ships overboard and things. And I'm like, oh my God, this is. I mean, it's just atrocious. So then I go over and I start reading about Ireland, and they said, once the potatoes turned into a problem, they decided to get on the boats and come over here, and a lot of them were beaten and raped on the ships and tossed overboard, and then when they got to America, they were being beaten and raped as they arrived. And I'm like, holy shit. I have never seen the word rape used more often in a public display. I honestly, not since I've been at the rape museum. That is the last time I remember seeing the word rape used so many times in this context. Was the rape museum. Absolutely. That is, but there you expect it. It's right in the title. Here I'm at Ellis Island. I certainly did not expect to get the fucking rape blow by blow. Rape museum, I'm walking right into it. I'm ready for it. I'm excited for it. I know exactly what I'm looking for. And by the way, do not go to the gift shop at the rape museum. Oh my God. You think you're ready for it? You're not. So I walk around and we're looking at school, and it's me and Seth and Brandy. We're looking at, and it's literally everybody winds up getting raped. They come to America, and finally I just skip ahead. I'm like, is there anybody who doesn't get raped coming to America other than Eddie Murphy and Arsenio Hall? So we skip through the room and we read, and we're like, the building of a nation, and about how they show, of course, again, the mustachioed construction workers eating sandwiches on the 200th floor, and the nation was built by immigrants. And I got to be honest, man. All the people who are against illegal immigration and all that. I get that. Everybody's upset. Everyone in the world should have to go to Ellis Island. Everyone in America who bitches about that kind of thing should need to go to Ellis Island and read about how this nation was built by people from other places. It's just astonishing to me. And look, we all know that, and we learn it in school. But when you see it so nakedly thrust into your face with the word rape 100 times capitalized, you realize exactly what people went through and what people want to do. And look, I'm not turning this into an immigration debate, whatever the fuck. I'm just saying, it's amazing when you read it. So we got through that school, and we got out, and we finally left the room. I'm like, I was rape shocked. And then they had an immigrant wall where you could actually put in your name and see if you were on it, and you could find the name Schmidt, and I did. I looked for that, and you could actually pay $50 and they'll look for your lineage, which I did not do that because I was leaving that day. I don't know how long it was going to take. And I did not want to see how many times the word rape showed up in my family lineage. Seemed like a real rape center there at Ellis Island. And then we went upstairs to the processing center where people would actually wait in line. And it's just a big empty room with benches. They've made it look just like it looked in the old days. And then I said, of course, because folks, what else can you do on Ellis Island but Twitter? So then I twittered a photo of me saying that I was telling them I was half Irish, but they wouldn't let me into the country and whatever, being an idiot. But then there was a couple getting married there. And Seth Brandy and I were laughing. We were just like, who the fuck gets married? This is ridiculous. When you get married, why would you get married here? But then as we're walking out, in my head, I went, you know why they're getting married here? Because their great-great-great-great-grandfather and grandmother probably got married here the day they came over. And I can tell you when they did it, they didn't have some fat idiot twittering his picture downstairs. They got married and went right to get deloused. That's exactly what happened. So as much as I wanted to pretend like it was just silly, it was such history, and to be there and having never been there, it was amazing. It really affected me as I walked around and realized that this was the gateway to America. This was the gateway to the world. And just being there, I know that at that moment I had the same thought that so many others before me had in that same exact spot. My feet hurt, and I need to get lunch. So thoughts of rape dancing through my head. We went downstairs, and I was like, they were like, hey, let's go catch the ferry and we can get out of here. And I said, okay, well, what are we doing? Because I should tell you, Brandy was in control and she was running the day. And she goes, no, we have a surprise place we're going after this.
Ooh.
I said, okay, do you know where the surprise place is? And she's like, yeah, I do. It's on my phone. And I checked it out last night. I know exactly where it is. I said, okay, I just want to be sure you know where it is. Because, I mean, I've been, because look, I'm an old man who didn't have much sleep, and I took a, 5-second shower, and all I want to do is I want to sit down and have a nice lunch. That's what I want to do. I'm excited to go have a nice lunch. Onion rings weren't enough to do it for me because I was more worried about my ass being violated. So she's like, yeah, we're going to go for lunch. I know a place that I really want to go. I said, okay, cool. She goes, all right, well, we got to take the ferry and leave. I said, great. So we go to the ferry. She goes, all right, we're taking the ferry to New Jersey. I said, well, we came from New York. And she's like, yeah, but the place I want to go is in New Jersey. I said, you know where you're going, right? And she's like, yes, it's okay. I know where I'm going. I said, all right. I just want to make sure because I'm a child, folks. I need to know exactly because I'm scared because I'll get lost. If I don't have anything telling me where to go, I'm going to get fucking completely lost. And then I'll be at Ellis Island eternally checking into this country. She's like, no, we'll get on the ferry. It'll be fine. So I said, all right, we get on the ferry and we get to the top again and we're riding and I'm sitting down again. I'm relaxing. And we ride to Jersey and we get there and we get off the boat. And it's, in New York, it leaves from Battery Park and Liberty Island. And then, we're a half mile from our hotel. So I said to her, I go, all right, well, where are we going when we get off the boat in Jersey? She goes, well, it's I have the address. And I said, all right, well, what is it? Where are we going? She goes, don't worry, it's a surprise. We're going to go. I said, okay. So we get off the boat and we're walking. And I should tell you, Seth, he's just happy. Seth is like the happiest guy. He's like, let's go here, let's go there, whatever. So it's a nice balance between Brandy, who knows where we're going, and me, who's fucking panicking and demands to know where we're going at every second. So we're walking and Seth is just like, he's just happy to be in Jersey. And I should tell you right now, at this point in time, it's about 2:30, I think, 2:00. So we get off the boat and we're walking, and it's different in New Jersey than it is in New York because the boat lets off at a boat center, and there's no civilization really around. I mean, it's a parking lot. It's a destination. We couldn't just walk there. So we're walking. And we're looking, and we're walking, and I said to Brandy, I go, well, where are we going? And she goes, well, I figure we could just get a cab or something. And I'm like, well, do you see any cabs? I mean, there's no cabs, and we're not near a street. I go, do you know where we're going? And she's like, yeah, we have to get a cab, or we can walk. Either one works. And I'm like, well, how far is it? She's like, well, don't worry, I have it on my phone. And I'm just like, don't. I'm not in this to fucking hike. I mean, it's like it's starting to drizzle now, and it's like 2:30 in the afternoon, and I'm hungry, and I'm fat, and I'm old. But It's the weekend of yes. I'm supposed to just say yes. So we're walking, and there's people, and we're just walking, and there's no real civilization. There's people getting in their cars, and in my head, I'm like, maybe we can get them to give us a ride. And as we're walking, a cab pulls in, and it's dropping people off. And he goes driving, and it's just this weird jalopy cab making horrible noise. And I wave at him, and he passes us because he has to drop people off. And I'm like, ah. So we continue to walk. And I said, well, look, I'm just going to grab this cab when he comes back around. She's like, oh, okay, I guess so. So he comes back around. He goes through the horseshoe as he dropped them off, and he's leaving, and we wave. And he rolls his window down, and he's like, where do you go? And I look at Brandy. I'm like, where are we going? And she's like, we're going to Hoboken. He's like, yes, where? And she gives him the address, and he's like, too far. And I go, too far? A cab driver just told me this is too far, and you're hoping we can walk there? Like, I fucking panic. And I go, what do you mean too far? And he goes, I'm kidding, get in. Well, thanks, Shecky. So we pile into the cab. I take the front seat. Brandy and Seth are in the back. And we start driving, and I go, what's your name? And he said, Sam. I didn't say, what is your name? I said, hey, what's happening? And I go, what's your name? And he says, Sam. And he's like, where are we going? And Brandy tells him. And there's no meter in the cab. So we start driving. And I figure the meter's in the back because in New York, you pay with your card in the back. And I start talking to Sam, and Sam seems like a good guy. And he's I said, where are you from, Sam? Egypt. I said, oh, pretty big year for you guys over there this year. And he's like, yes, it's fine now, though. Everything is fine. I go, is your family here or there? He goes, I have family there. I go visit. And I go, oh, you going to go visit? He goes, well, not now, but I do. And so Sam and I are getting along fine. Brandy and Seth are silent in the back seat because they can't believe that I'm talking to Sam, the cab driver. And we're driving, and he's looking, and he takes us through Jersey City, which is like a really nice area. Like, I was really shocked because it was just, it looked like a mini New York, but it was clean. It was like really, it looked like, these yuppie sides of Chicago that you go through. And he's like, oh, it's very yuppie here. Too many young people. And, it's very nice. So very clean. And he's honking at other cabs and waving, and Sam's very nice. And then he's telling me about his dog back home. And he points out there's a 3-legged dog. And he's like, those people are blessed. And I said, blessed? And he's like, yes, blessed. You take that situation, you are blessed. And I said, oh, okay, great. Good for you, Sam. And he and I are getting along great. He's like really a nice guy, and he's from Egypt. We're talking about that, and and he's making all these turns, and everything's good. And we're in the cab probably about 10 minutes, maybe 15. Probably went like 6 miles. And so we pull up to where we're going, and he's like, all right, here it is. And I said, hey, Sam, and it was New Year's Eve, and I had asked him, are you working late? And he's like, I'll work all night. And I'm like, oh, that's amazing. You're going to make a lot of money. He's like, yeah, I hope so. And so in my head, I'm like, well, I'm going to tip this guy well. I'm ready to do it. So we pull up, and I go, all right, well, I'm going to pay with my card. Is it in the back? And he goes, oh, no, it's cash only. And I said, okay. I go, how much? And he goes, $35. What? It was $35 to go 6 miles from the harbor to this place that Brandy wanted to go to. And I'll be honest with you, man, I was too tired to even argue. Like, it was just, what am I going to do? Fight him? You know what I mean? Sam the Egyptian and I are going round and round and fighting. But he fucked us hard. And in my head, I was like so mad because we had gotten along and we were doing well. And I was like, oh, I'm going to go ahead and take care of him. I'm going to really tip this guy well because he's working on a holiday, and he saved me from fucking walking forever. It was like, Brandy's like, we could walk. It was like 6.5 miles where we were going. So I looked at him and I go, all right. And I just pull out my wallet and I gave him $40. I said, there you go, Sam. Thanks, man. And I said, hey, how hard is it to get a cab back to Manhattan? And he goes, oh, I don't know when. And I go, I don't know, in a couple hours. I have no idea when we're leaving. And he's like, well, the holiday, and there's traffic. And he goes, you know what? It's easy. Call us. So he gave me his card. So, hey, if you guys are in New Jersey and you want to get fucked hard by a cab driver, just go ahead and call 201-222-8000. That's Budget Limo and Taxi, 24-hour dispatch service. They go to all destinations. And they actually, my favorite part is they have the American flag on their card. Yeah, it's right there at the top. To remind you that you're in America getting fucked. And or you can go to newbudgetlimo.com. Go there and ask for Sam because he's very happy to put his fist right up your ass. So I gave him his $40 and I took my receipt. And we got out. And I looked at Brandy and I'm like, all right, where are we heading? She goes, it's right here. And I looked and there was a deli called Fiore's. And there's a bunch of people standing outside. And I'm like, oh, man. And she's like, oh, it looks really busy. And I go, okay, good. So we walk up. And we walk in, and there were people outside. We walk past them, and we get in, and it turns out it's a storefront deli where you buy your food and you leave. And I look at Brandy, and I go, didn't you say that we could sit down in here? She goes, oh, well, on the website it said that we could sit down. Looks like we can't. And I'm like, okay. And I go, and why are we here? She goes, well, I heard it's like this amazing place, and the Cake Boss, he used to work by... Fucking Cake Boss, really? She's like, the Cake Boss used to eat, like, I don't know if he worked there or his shop was near there or something, and that's how she heard of it. But it was said established 1913 or whatever, Fiore's Italian Deli. And so I'm like, I'm furious because I've been on my feet all day. I've been getting processed at Ellis Island. I was avoiding lice. I was in school all day learning, and now I just wanted to sit down in a nice restaurant and eat some lunch. But we get in, and what you have to do, there's a line. Those people outside, they're getting in line. You have to get in line, and when you get to the front, you tell them what you want sandwich-wise, and then they make it and hand it to you, and you got to walk out the fucking door. And normally, look, I'm all for a joint like that. It's just not when I've been on my feet for fucking 5 hours after not sleeping, whatever the fuck. So I try to be nice. In my head, I'm just like, all right, be pleasant. That's fine. So we get in line, and the people in front of us are taking bread, like freshly cooked bread, out of a thing. And I'm like, well, are they buying loaves of bread? No. What you have to do is you have to grab the bread out of a display case in the front, and you bring it to the front. And you hand them the bread, and they make you your sandwich on that bread. And I'm like, I just don't want to do anything stupid here because it's literally a room full of mean Italian guys. I don't want to get yelled at in Jersey. So I'm like, all right, and they had big bread, small bread, and they had round bread. And I'm like, fuck, all right, we all grabbed big bread. We just grabbed 3 big, like these French, they weren't French, it's Italian loaves of long, crusty bread. And as we get closer, they got a menu and they got a special and, all these different cold cuts. And there's a woman, there's like this 95-year-old woman at the front, and she's with 2 75-year-olds, and they're talking and they're gossiping and they're waiting for their cheese. And they keep bringing out trays of fresh mozzarella that I see them making it in the back. It's in the water, and they're making it, they're rolling it, and then they're just bringing it out front. It's completely like made by hand right in front of you. And I'm like, well, that won't be so bad, I guess. That sounds good. And I get to the front, and there's just this fucking bald dude. And he's like, who's next? And I said, I am. And I hand him the bread, and I go, I have never been here. What am I eating? And he goes, what, a sandwich? And I go, yeah. What? And he goes, you want the beef sandwich with fresh mozzarella and gravy. He goes, that's a special, and it's what we're known for. I go, done. Make it. So he starts building it. He cuts the bread open, and they put beef on the sandwich, and then he puts the piles, and he gives me a piece of fresh mozzarella. Everybody in line, they hand you fresh mozzarella to eat. So I'm eating fresh mozzarella, and I'm watching them build my sandwich, and they bring it in the back, and they just pour gravy, like brown gravy all over. Not thick gravy, juice, au jus. No, you're wrong. I'll tell you, you're wrong. It's like, like thin beef broth, but really heavy stock. And they bring it out, and they cut the sandwich, they wrap it up. And I'm like, hey, do you guys have any, you got roasted peppers? And they were like, well, yeah, we got them up front, and they had but they were cold, and I didn't want cold peppers. I wanted hot peppers. And I'm like, I'm good. I took my sandwich. And I went outside to wait for Randy and Seth and their sandwiches. And then they get their food, and by the time we get our food, we walk outside. The line is like 30 people now out the door, and everybody's ordering sacks of sandwiches and piles of mozzarella. It's just like it's famous. They're going there all the time. So we get outside, and I look at Brandy, and I'm just like, how did you hear about this place? She goes, well, the Cake Boss, he's from around here. All right, fine. I go, so we got to sit in a stoop and eat this. We got to find somewhere to sit. And she goes, all right, well, we're going to this other place over here, so why don't we just start walking toward there and see if we can find a bus stop or something? And I'm like, all right. So we go walking, and I'm pissed. All right, in my head, I'm pissed. I'm outwardly, I'm trying to be very nice, but I'm carrying this sandwich, and the bag is starting to soak through, and we're walking, and we're going to, I'm starving, and I just want to sit down. My feet hurt. I'm just like, I'm an old man, and they're in Jersey. They're having an adventure. They're excited, and I'm trying not to be that guy. I don't want to be the fucking guy who casts a pall on everything. So we're walking, and she's like, go up this street, and she's got her phone, and we're marching in single file, and we come upon a park. Like it's got a dog park, but then it's got an attached park for kids, and it's a playground, and then it's got tables. and like built like speed chess tables, and stone chairs. And she goes, we can sit here if you want to sit here and eat. And it's drizzling outside. And I'm like, all right, that's fine. So I had grabbed like a bunch of napkins on Ellis Island that were for some reason in my fucking coat, thankfully. And so we sit down, and we can't sit together because there's only certain chairs at certain tables. So I let Brandy and Seth sit at one, and then I sit at mine, and I open my sandwich and I unwrap it, and first of all, it's too big. I should have grabbed half a loaf of bread because it's fucking gigantic. But then I unwrap it, and I got a bottle of water, and I'm eating the sandwich, and it's fucking amazing. It's fresh beef and fresh mozzarella and fresh hot gravy on freshly cooked bread, and it's one of the best sandwiches I've ever eaten in my life. And I'm just eating it in a park, in the rain, watching kids play, and and in my head I'm just like, this is the greatest lunch I've ever had in my life. Like it just. I went from hating it and wanting to just fucking, anything, a chair, a table, but it was fucking New Jersey. To me, I went, this is what you would do in the city. You would get a sandwich and you would go sit in the park and you would eat it and you would look around. And I mean, I fucking loved it. I loved it. I went from hating it to loving it in seconds. The first bite of the sandwich was more than enough. And I ate 2/3 of the one half of my sandwich. That's all I could power down. And then I gave the other half to Seth and Brandy. I'm like, you guys just, take it. I can't. Do you guys want it? They're like, yeah, that's fine. We'll maybe eat it later in the room or something. I said, all right, good. Because I can't have a beef sandwich in my room. My room already smells like, shit milk, hot chocolate, suit coat. That should be the name of the show, by the way. But it was the greatest. It was like sitting in the drizzling rain, little bite in the air, eating a fucking hot sandwich and just watching kids. Dude, it was the greatest. It was the greatest. And I was sour. I was fucking sour. I got to be honest. I was sour the whole time when I got the sandwich. I'm walking on the stoop and I'm like sighing and I'm like, all right, well, just don't outwardly be mean. Because again, this is my job. It's my job to do this. All right. It's my job to go ahead and that's fine. Enjoy myself. But then when it happened and I went to the park, it was fucking amazing. I was like, Brandy knew what she was doing. So maybe she gets a little cachet. So I'm ready to trust Brandy at this point. I'm like, you know what? Brandy knows what we're doing. She's got the plan. She squared it away. So we stand up and I'm like, all right, we're finished. She goes, yes. I go, so what now? Do we get our cab back to Manhattan? She's like, no, we're going to another place. It's like right up here. I said, fantastic, because I'm willing to trust her. All right. She's pretty much earned as many points as she possibly could. So I said to her, I go, great, where are we going? She goes, well, we're going up here and this particular avenue. And I said, what, but where are we heading? And she goes, we're going to see the Cake Boss. Really? Why are we seeing the Cake Boss again? Didn't you see the Cake Boss yesterday? She's like, well, he wasn't really there. He just, it's just you cook and it wasn't that type of thing. I go, so we're going to see him? She goes, well, I don't know if he'll be there, but we're going to his shop and I really want to see his shop. And I guess it's a thing for her and Seth. They watch the Cake Boss. Dude, they got fucking matching aprons. When they did it, they made cakes. They got cakes in their room from the Cake Boss. And I don't know if they're going to apply for jobs. And, this is all, they realized when they built the cakes the night before that they're cut out for this and they're abandoning their lives in Florida. And they're going to go ahead and wear jorts and make cake all night the rest of their fucking lives. I got no idea. But I was just puzzled. I wasn't mad because again, I had already sat down. I ate my lunch. It's a little drizzly outside, but if we're close, then fuck it. Let's go. Let's go see the Cake Boss. Why not? I didn't get to see him the night before. Let's do it. So look, everybody loves the Cake Boss. I love saying that. All right, so we go to the shop. We go walking up, and then we're in the middle of a neighborhood. Then all of a sudden we're in a main drag, and there's like tons of restaurants and stores. It's like this fancy joint. And as we're approaching, looking for the address, cross some streets, we're moving. It's getting a little thick. There's a lot of people. And I'm trying to figure out. I'm like, wow, it's getting pretty busy. And as we walk up, we see the address, and there it is. There's the Cake Boss's shop. And the Cake Boss's shop, you can't see inside of it because there's people in it. It's just packed to the rafters with people. And then I walk up, and outside in front, there's like those. You ever see those bicycle barricades where you can actually lock your bike to, like a bike rack? Okay, they got like 4 of them in front, and there's like 20 people standing behind one. And I walk up, and I go to walk into the Cake Boss, and these women from behind the barricades go, "Do you have a ticket? You don't have a ticket." And I look at them and I go, what? They go, you need a ticket. This is the line. I said, oh, all right. Well, I didn't know. I'm sorry. So I look at Brandy and Seth. I'm like, apparently there's a line to see the Cake Boss. And I go, they're not filming in here, right? She's like, no, I want to go see like what they make and see where they cook and stuff. And I go, okay. I go, well, I guess we got to get in line. So I go, but I don't know what it means. I go, do we have to buy a ticket for admission? I don't know where we get tickets. I go, you know what? I'll check. So I walk up to the front door, and there's a guy, a Cake Boss minion, who their whole family is there's the Cake Boss, and then there's a bunch of capos and a bunch of sergeants at arms and fucking foot soldiers, whatever the fuck. It's a mafia. It's a cake mafia. So unfortunately, all of their family has been brought into the family business. So this kid working the door, he's might be 18. And he's miserable because he's not getting a cut of the Cake Boss money. He's not getting any of that big time muffin cash. He's just fucking guarding the door and being a dick. That's what he's doing. So I walk up to him and I go, hey, how do I get a ticket? And right when I walk up to the front door, these fucking mouthy women in the front by the barricade, hey, stop him. He doesn't have a ticket. That guy doesn't have a ticket. Oh my God. And they lose their minds. They're screaming at me, back in the line, man. And they're yelling. And I'm talking. I'm not in the building. I'm talking to the guy at the front door. And they think I'm negotiating to get in. But all I said, I go to him and I go, how do I get a ticket? He goes, you got to get at the end of the line and they'll give you a ticket. I go, all right, is this the line? And he goes, well, it goes all the way back. He goes, it goes down the street. I said, what? He goes, it's on the other block. And I go, so the tickets are down there? And he's like, yeah. And they're still screaming at me. So I turn around and I look and I go, I'm not sneaking in. I'm finding out how to get a ticket, just trying to get the procedure. Relax. And they start yelling, well, you better not try to sneak. I go, you'll get your cake. And Seth and Brandy laughed. And I look over at the guy, and I walk over and I go, man, they were screaming at me. You saw them screaming at me. And Seth and Brandy are like, yes. I go, all right, well, the line is down here. So we walk to the end of the block. We cross the street. We walk another block. And at the end of that block is where the line is. It's almost 3 blocks.
Oh my God.
To get in to see the Cake Boss. And when we get in line, there's another fucking 18-year-old dumpy kid down there who's in charge of that line. And he walks up and he hands us, when you go into a bakery and you take a number and it says they yell, now serving number 90, he's handing those out. That's the ticket. They're giving everybody out numbers for the Cake Boss house. And I'm in line and I look at Brandy and she's like, wow, I didn't think it was going to be this crazy. I'm like, well, I go, you know what? We already waited in line for a sandwich. And she looks at Seth and she's like, well, do you want to leave? And Seth's like, oh, I don't, whatever we do is fine. And she looks at me, she goes, look, I know that this isn't for you. Like, if you don't want to wait in line, I understand. And I go, fuck that. We're here. I go, I'm in. Now I got to see what the craziness is all about. I'm in line to see the Cake Boss. Yeah, let's do it. Because I'm not going to be a dick and shit on this. We're in, man. Let's do this. Because they really want to do it. I see she's willing to leave. If I want to leave, fuck that. I'm not leaving. I don't give a fuck if I'm here till they close. So we wait in line, and there's a guy like selling fucking hot dogs off a cart, and he keeps making fun of us. Like, he's making fun of everybody in line. He goes, oh, you're all in line for cake, huh? That's funny, huh? And he's like being a dick. And I keep looking at Seth and Brandy, and I'm like, you're selling hot dogs on the street. You don't get to make fun of anyone. You misspelled the word relish.
Did he?
Yes. There are not 2 L's in relish. You misspelled relish. You don't get to make fun of me. Just because I'm in line to see a Zeppeli. Just being a cunt to everybody. He's being a dick. He's making fun of everyone. And it's like, fuck you, cart boy. So we're waiting in line. And you know what's really funny is there's the Cake Boss bakery. And like across the street, there's another bakery. And I picture them forlornly staring out as their souffles fall, just sad. Because they didn't have the wherewithal to fight with their sisters on television. So we wait in line, and I twittered from the line like 4 times, and the line's moving up, and we're moving up, and then we finally get to cross the street, and we're still waiting in line. We're waiting in line, and I would say we were in line about 45 minutes to an hour. And look, I told Brandy, because they were like, this is so weird, and I told them, I go, look, I'm no stranger to this, man. I have waited in lines for cupcakes at Sprinkles. I waited in line at Pinkberry when it first opened here. There was one location for Pinkberry. I waited in line for an hour and 20 minutes for a yogurt. And people made fun of us. They walked by making fun of us. And then someone said, well, it's like, you ever been to New York? And these people are like, we're from New York. We would never wait in a line for yogurt. And this woman goes, this is like the Magnolia Bakery of yogurt. And the woman goes, "Oh, all right then." Like she completely understood. So I waited in line for Pinkberry an hour and 20 minutes. Sprinkles, every time you go, it's like a 20-minute wait, 20 to 30-minute wait. So we were in line about an hour for the Cake Boss, and we finally get to the front, and then we're behind the bicycle barricade, and we're waiting to go in, and then some people leave, and then the guy at the front door goes, "All right, come on in," and they start letting us in, and he lets about 15 of us in from outside, and we get in, and then he closes the door. And my back is at the door because it is this sea of humanity buying cookies. I mean, it is just, and I'm astonished by it. I don't know what all of these people are doing in there because they're calling numbers and helping people, but they're not doing it very quickly. Like they'll say 88, and then it'll sit on 88 for about 4 minutes. So who's helping everybody else? Like, why is everybody in here? And one of the women who got let in ahead of us was a woman she had her dog in her purse. And she's going around telling everybody how it's not good anymore. Like the food isn't good anymore. She's going out, this place used to be really good, but then they got famous and they got big heads. Now they don't even cook very, I just come here because my family wants me to. And then she then skips the line and goes behind the counter and she's like, "Hi, Dolores," or one of the fucking sisters. And she knows her. And she goes to tell them she's picking up her order. She gets to skip everyone, but she's a cunt. Like when they go to get her food, then she turns around and she goes like, I would never eat this anymore. So they think they're so famous and I keep looking at Seth and I'm like, and yet she comes here and yet she cuts in line and yet she tells the people behind the counter how much she loves them. And then she turns to us and bet. It was just the typical horrible fucking like 60-year-old woman that you hate. And she's ripping the shit out of the Cake Boss. And look, I'm ripping the shit out of the Cake Boss. All right. But it's because I don't have any history with the Cake Boss. I don't know a fucking thing about him. I'm just making fun of the fact that people are here ready. They're elbowing each other in the eye to get a goddamn Danish. It's amazing. And they're not calling the numbers fast enough. And then I'm getting jostled. I'm getting stepped on. And I look at Seth and I go, I might need to go wait outside because this one dude was in front of me and he stomped on my foot. And then, and he didn't do anything. And then he did it again. Like, and this was on purpose, like almost like I was too close to him, that type of deal. And then he wheeled and he elbowed me and he turned and he saw me and he never said, "Excuse me," or "I'm sorry." And I'm looking right at him, and that's when I look at Seth, and I'm like, I might have to head outside, Seth. And he's like, "Are you all right?" And I go, "I don't know." And then Brandy's like, "What do you guys want?" I go, "I don't want anything. I go, if they have a brownie without nuts, get me that. I don't care. Whatever they have." I said, "Whatever you know all about the Cake Boss." And there's like a portrait, like a velvet painting of the Cake Boss and his family on the wall. And they're all yelling in the back, and I guess one of the sisters is there, and everybody's like, "That's Mary. Mary's here." I don't know who the fuck Mary is, but you can hear her yelling in the back, and every time she yells, everybody's like giddily clapping, and they're happy. And Brandy's like, "Oh, I heard Mary's here." I'm like, "Yeah, I exactly. Give me a brownie." But I'm still trying to think. I'm trying to see the absurdity of it, and absorb it. And Seth is just like, "I don't know, get whatever." And he's telling Brandy, and so Brandy's like, "Well, I'm going to get these things. I don't know what they're called." And I'm like, "Great." As soon as they call your number. So then they would call a number and nobody would answer. We have 92. So they're like, 87 and nobody says anything. And they go 87. So I'm like, 87. And finally someone like waves the number and I'm like, they come up and people are looking at me. They're like, they start clapping like as I'm yelling numbers. And meanwhile, we get close to the counter and there's a man there and he's a typical guy. You know what I mean? He just looks rough. And he's with his kid and his kid watches Cake Boss. So he's talking to his son, and then we're both standing there. We're in each other's space. And he looks up at me and makes eye contact with me, and I go, "Hey, you know what? Hey, why don't you and I just knock the shit out of everybody in here, steal some cakes, and run out?" And he goes, "What?" And I go, "Seriously, you look tough enough." I go, "You and I should just take everybody out, cut a swath through this room, take some cakes, and get the fuck out of here." And he looks at me and he goes, "You wouldn't get very far. Thank you for sucking all of the fun out of the 1 minute I thought I had a kindred spirit here in the goddamn Cake Boss's house. I thought I could relate to you, sir. You look angry just like I do." But I was like, "Yeah, I was joking." I turn and look at Seth and I'm like, and Seth's just laughing because he heard me. He's like, "Oh, dude." So we're waiting for Brandy's number to get called. And then finally I'm in that guy's space again. And he looks at me and I go, "I'm Mike." And he's like, "I'm Bob." I go, "Bob, where do you live?" And he told me. I go, I said, "I live in Los Angeles. I'm out here working and stuff." And he's like, "Oh, okay." And wow, really? Is that true? Is that true?
That's true. Keep talking. stop.
No, should I?
Just finish the story. Come on.
Well, I talked. I wound up bonding with Bob. I mean, like, he's like from Philly, and he's like, oh yeah, I'm just up here because my kid watches the Cake Boss, and we're getting along. And I'm like, oh, your kid watches the Cake Boss. I did not say that to Bob because Bob would have punched me. But I kept saying it to Seth. I'm just like, I can't believe we're to see that Cake Boss. So then finally they called Brandy's number. Once they called Brandy's number, I left. I just said, I got to go outside. Because she's going to pick out whatever she's going to pick out. So I went and sat out on a bench. And there were like homeless people outside of the Cake Boss's place. But they're eating Cake Boss stuff because people will come out and give them stuff. It was like, it's a whole cottage industry. And I'm sitting on a bench. And finally Brandy comes out. And she's got her, huge box of whatever they bought.
Jesus.
I'm like, I go, you're only here like another day and a half, right? And she's like, I know, I got carried away. And I'm like, all right, that's fine. So we're there, and I'm sitting on the bench, and finally I go, is there anywhere else in Jersey you want to go to today? Does the Cake Boss have an auto repair shop we can blaze by? And she's laughing. I said, and she's like, no, we can go back. We need to get a cab. And now that's going to be a task. Like, I don't even, because literally now it's 4:45 in the afternoon, and we need to get a cab from Jersey to Manhattan on New Year's Eve. I'm like, we might as well just sit here and party with the Cake Boss. And also, I should tell you, we don't even have any plans yet for New Year's Eve. Like, I don't even know what we're doing. I just know that I'm with them. So I actually say to Brandy, I'm like, hey, so what are the plans for tonight? And Brandy says, oh, I went to talk to you about that. Our friend, my friend I told you that lives up here, I think we're going to get together with him tonight. So that's going to happen. And I don't know if you want to come with us or you don't, or, but I just want to give you the option. We're probably going to get together with him. And, part of me is elated because I'm like, yay, it's, I'm getting off work. I get to punch out. But the part of me is like, dude, wait a minute. No, so now New Year's Eve is the night you're not going to want to be hanging out with me? And then I get in my own head. I'm like, did I do something wrong? Like, did I make something happen? Did I fuck up here? What the fuck is going on? But then I just go to her. I go, okay. Well, that's fine. I go, and she's like, well, you can come if you want. And again, I'm reading it where she says, if you want, to mean we don't want you there. But I'm sure that's not true, but it doesn't matter. That's what's in my head. So I just say to her, I go, no. I go, that's cool. I go, get together with your friend. I go, that's good. I go, let's just get back to Manhattan now, and we'll go to the hotel. I'll figure something out. She's like, okay. Well, I just want, you're welcome to come with us if you want. I'm like, and again, if you want, I'm like. I know. And Seth's just like, and I go, Seth, do you know this? And Seth doesn't even know this guy. Like, he's a friend of Brandy's. And I'm like, all right, well, you guys go. And because again, Seth and Brandy don't know me, but at least we're getting along. I should tell you, we're getting along great. I mean, it's fun and we're having fun and they're making me laugh and I'm making them laugh and we're having a really good time to the point where in my head, I'm like, they don't want me around tonight. That's all the awkward's been burned off now. We've gotten through all the awkward. Now we're friends. And now you're telling me not to be hanging out with you? Well, at least we have the cab ride, the 4-hour cab ride from Jersey to Manhattan.
Jesus.
Which I figure it's got to be that long. So I get up and I go, all right, look, I still have Sam's card. I can imagine that's going to be $100, but at least it will get us to Manhattan. I mean, we'll be able to make the ride. And she's like, well, okay, well, we can try to get a cab here. I go, okay, well, we can do that too. So I stand up from the bus bench and I take a step and Brandy walks in the street and puts her hand up and a cab screeches to a halt immediately. I mean, I'm looking at my phone thinking I'm going to have to call Sam the Egyptian to get, tell me another 3-legged dog story and charge me $100. She gets a cab in seconds. And this dude pulls up and he rolls the window down and he's like, where are you going? We said, we're going to Manhattan. And he's like, oh, where? And we said, Manhattan, W Hotel, World Trade Center. Like, we just started talking. All of us are yelling. And he just goes, all right, get in. And we go to open the door. I'm like, I can't believe it. We got a fucking cab. So we go to open the doors. He goes, you know what? No, too far. I go, what? He goes, too far. I can't, ask him behind us. And I go, seriously? And behind him is another cab that stopped. Because he stopped in the middle of traffic, so this other cab had to stop. So we look at that cab, and he rolls his window down, and he goes, where are you guys going? And we go, Manhattan, World Trade Center, W. And he goes, what? And we go, W Hotel. And he goes, oh, yeah, okay. So the other guy drives off, and we get into this cab. So we got 2 cabs in a second, like 1 second. So we get in with this guy. And he goes, oh, all right, let's go. And I start talking to him, of course, and he's from Colombia. He's a nice man. And we go, yeah, that guy told us, like, you would take us. He's like, no, really? And so he pulls up alongside him, and he honks his horn, and he's, like, pointing at him, and the guy's laughing. Ha, ha, ha. They're having cabbie wars. So I start talking about New Year's Eve, and Seth and Brandy are in the back, and this guy actually has a meter, which works great. And we ask him how much it's going to be, and he says, well, it's, probably $40 to Manhattan standard. And I'm like, all right, great, let's do it. So we're driving, and he's, making small talk with me. I'm making small talk with him, and I keep taking pictures of him and texting them to Brandy. Like I take a picture of just like his license, and I send it to her in the back. And by the way, remember Sam, the cab driver who raped us? His real name was Osama. When we got out, Seth is just like, his name was Osama. I'm like, no wonder he didn't tell us. It was fucking Osama. So I'm taking surreptitious pictures, and we're driving, and he's a very nice guy. We go through the tunnel. We go through the Lincoln Tunnel, I think it was, to get back into town. And then we get into downtown Manhattan, and it's like 5 o'clock, 5:15, and they're starting to put up the barricades along the streets. And they tell him they won't let him turn left. He needs to turn left, and they won't let him. So he's driving. We're in traffic. We sit in one spot for like 15 minutes. Horns honking, everybody blazing, and we're right near Times Square. And he looks at us, and he goes, we've been in the cab now for like 45 minutes, and they're silent in the back. And I said to him, or he says to me, all right, you guys want to get out from here and walk? He goes, because we're not going to make it. And I go, whoa, I don't know. And he goes, well, the W Hotel's like right up here. And I said, well, no, we're going to the World Trade Center W Hotel. And he goes, oh, what? Like, he's so sad. And I said, yeah, we said that when we got in the cab. He goes, no, you said Manhattan. I said, well, no, we kind of all said Manhattan, World Trade Center, W Hotel. And he goes, well, I heard W Hotel and Manhattan, and that's where we're going, by Times Square. I said, no, we're going to the financial district. And he goes, oh, that's so far, like, especially with the traffic. And I go, you know what? I got my phone out, and I went bang, bang, bang with my thumbs. I'm a New Yorker. And I said to him, I looked, and I find the subway. It's right there. And if we hop out and get in the subway, we'll be home in 15 minutes. So I turn around and I go, hey guys, why don't we just get out here? We'll pay him, and we'll hop in the subway. And Brandy goes, well, no. And I said, well, what do you mean? I go, you said you wanted to ride in the subway, so this is a perfect opportunity. We'll get to ride in the subway now. And she goes, no. If we're paying him a flat fee, then he can take us to the hotel. We agreed on it. I'm not going to pay the flat fee to here. That doesn't make sense. And I was fucking pissed, because we're going to sit in this traffic. It's obvious we're going to sit in this fucking traffic forever, like forever. And I don't know where your friend is, but now I'm mad. And look, I'm trying to be Julia, your cruise director, and you just basically in my face drop a no, I'm not getting out. We're not taking the subway. It was the first time she ever really asserted any, because all the rest of the time she's like, you can go if you want. You don't have to do this. And this is the first time she said no. And of course I get mad in my head. I'm like, what do you mean no? But I just looked at the driver, and I go, all right, well, dude, she says no. You got to take us to the hotel. And he was furious. Oh my God, he hated us. So he just starts driving, and he's driving. He can't go. They won't let him turn left. And finally he slows down, and there's a bunch of cops, and he goes, how do I get to West Side? How do I get to go? And the guy goes, I don't know, buddy. Keep moving. Like literally out of a movie. So the cab driver has to keep driving, and I look in the back, and Brandy's got her eyes closed, and I'm like, oh boy, what the fuck's going on? And so finally he gets us to the hotel at like 5:45 or 6 o'clock, and we get out, and we pay him, his money, and we go to walk, and Brandy's just like, I'm nauseous. Like she goes, I'm sorry I didn't take the subway, but I figured if we were paying him, that's one thing, but also I was sick, and we were in traffic, and it was the horns. She goes, it's for some reason, and lunch, it all just hit me at once. Like I didn't want to even move. So I couldn't have gotten out and gotten on the subway. So I couldn't be pissed at her. I mean, there's no point. She's sick. She didn't want to get off. And look, and the bottom line, this is my job. This is my job. I have to just smile and go, okay, great. Everything's fine. So I looked at them, and it was 6 o'clock, and I knew that they were going to meet their friend. So I said, look, go meet your friend, enjoy yourself, have a good time, New Year's. I'll figure out something to do, and let me know. Good. But there was part of me that was like sad. I was sad. I can't lie. Like I wish that I could say that I was, all excited and I had the time to myself. What the fuck am I going to do by myself in New York? Seriously. So I just said to him, all right, well, go do your thing with your friend, and that's fine. And then Brandy says, we haven't heard from him yet. I said, okay, well, is he calling you, or what's he doing? Texting you? And she goes, well, I texted him and I called him, and I haven't heard from him. Would you be interested in hanging out tonight? Like if we don't get to see him, or even if we do? And again, it's so weird that she's asking me, because she paid me to be there. It's my job to be there. And again, as we all know, like I just said, I'm very excited to be alone by myself in New York. So I don't know if I jumped out of my skin fast enough when I just went, yes, okay, that's great, that's fine. Never. Well, I mean, if you don't wind up talking to him, then yeah, I mean, text me. I mean, I'll be in my room. I'll figure something out. I might get a shower or a nap or something. But yeah, call me or text me, and if it falls through. But try to see your friend. You're here for just a few days, and we've got all day tomorrow, so see your friend. But in my head, I'm just like, please, yes. She goes, okay, well, I'll try to get hold of you. So they split. They go into the W, and I head into Club Quarters Hotel to spend my evening alone and try to figure out exactly what I'm going to do for New Year's Eve. And on that note, the clock on the wall tells me that I need to stop fucking talking. As I'm sitting here and I tell you about my job in New York forever and ever. And it's like, I didn't even do that much of a ramp up today. Like, I got into Van Halen and talking about that, and we were done. I think that was like a half hour in. But now I've talked to you about fucking deli sandwiches and the Cake Boss and everything else for how fucking long?
2.5 hours.
2.5 hours. Ridiculous. So now we've heard what it was like partially when the creature was let loose in the city. And now we've got a day and a half to let this guy settle in. And you know what? Let's be honest. We got this guy all wrong. He's a sailor. He's from out of town. We get this guy laid. We got no problem. Is that going to happen? Who knows? Tune in next week as the New York saga continues. You guys can get me at MikeandMikeSchmidtComedy.com. You guys can be my friend at Facebook.com/the40yearoldboy. You can write me or follow me on Twitter at Twitter.com/the40yearoldboy. You can follow our friend Lily Von Stupp at Twitter.com/Lily Von Stupp and Twitter.com/MNTs. And if you'd like to write her a personal note and find out how many sodas and chocolate-covered strawberries she needed to get through this fucking magnum opus, you can go ahead and write her at Lily at Burlesque411.com. That's Lily, Lili, at Burlesque411.com.
Zazzle.com/40yearold boy. Please buy all his stuff.
I want to remind you folks about the Monday Night Teas every Monday night at the 3 clubs on Santa Monica and Vine. 10 o'clock p.m. is showtime. This past week was Lily Von Stupp's Laugh-In birthday extravaganza. How'd that go?
Fantastic.
Sounds like it was wonderful. I heard that was an eventful night.
Oh my God. Yes.
Tons of dancers, tons of friends, everybody coming in and being nice to our friend Lily on her birthday.
It was fantastic.
Actually, today's your birthday.
Actually, tomorrow.
Well, that's when they'll hear it.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah, nobody gets to hear it, especially with this fucking editing job you got to do.
Wow, I will be up well into my birthday.
Yes, Thursday is Lily's birthday. So when you're hearing this right now, please know that Lily is officially 40. That's pretty cool. So write her a note and tell her happy birthday and thank her and all that neat stuff. And if you see her, grab her ass.
No.
Yes, that's what we do. So those 3 clubs was big this week, but what about next week? What's happening next week?
Doc and Stumpy get laid.
Oh, is that a...
tropical burlesque show with Hawaiian honeys and Tahitian tatas.
Oh, my Lord. Your press person is working overtime. Your copy editor is overheated.
That's right.
Well, good for you. So next week, go see a lot of lays and a lot of hulas and a lot of grass skirts and Doc and Stumpy and all that. That'll be next Monday at the 3 clubs on Santa Monica and Vine at 10 o'clock p.m. is the showtime. As always, tickets available at brownpapertickets.com, or they can go to burlesque411.com for information. MondayNightTees.com. Go there, folks. That's your easiest place to go. Remember, you can go to the Facebook page for Mike Schmidt. That's me. Facebook.com/the40yearold boy, and on there you will see all of the places that want me to come to their towns and play. There's the Toronto page, Detroit, New Orleans, of course. San Antonio is still in play. Bring me back to Milwaukee or Wisconsin at least. There's a ton of places that are in play. And, of course, the Kickstarter cities are being scheduled as we speak. I've got calls in all over the place. Boston is proving a tough nut to crack. If you have any venue recommendations for Boston that you can give me, that would be great. And also, I should tell you this. A lot of people are recommending like rock clubs, which is really cool, but you will have to stand up the entire time at the show. When the Comedians of Comedy did it, it was great because you got to see Patton and Maria and Brian and and Zach, 4 different comics, and it was maybe easier to stand in place and watch 4 different comics. If you're there watching me for Jesus Christ, I look at how long today has been. You know what I mean? Imagine if you had to stand up the entire time I talked for this show. So rock clubs don't exactly work, and also they have the bar and the rental and liquor license, and I'm finding out as I call them, it's turning into a real thing. So I'm looking for theaters. Anybody with venue ideas in any cities? I had a Cleveland one that looked good that today turned out to not be good. That fell through. So I am trying. Basically, Cleveland, Washington, D.C., Boston, and Atlanta. I'm trying. I have calls into many venues there. I think I'm very close on Atlanta. But right now, again, no one knows. And also, I mentioned last week that I was going to be doing stand-up in Macon. Yeah, I think I'm supposed to be doing stand-up in Athens if I go. I screwed that up. Our friend Brian wrote me, and he's like, you didn't mean Macon. Did you mean Athens? And I'm like, yes, I'm dumb. So that might be being tied into the Atlanta show. Who knows? Right now I got to get theaters in these cities. And I'm waiting to hear, and hopefully it'll all work out, but we'll see what happens. I'm coming to the East Coast as soon as I possibly can. And I am definitely, however, coming February 17th to San Francisco, California. I'll be at the Dock Room Theater in San Francisco. Shows at 8 o'clock. Tickets are on sale now at brownpapertickets.com. If you search Mike Schmidt or 40-Year-Old Boy or Success is Not an Option, you will find that on brownpapertickets.com right now. We've actually sold, we're doing pretty good, actually. So that's pretty cool with it being a few weeks away. Grab your tickets now if you would. I would appreciate it very much. And then I would know that you were coming. And then I would know that, because I mean, who cares? No one cares. I got to stop talking. You can go to MikeSchmidtComedy.com. Remember to go to the Joe Business page. Go to the Zazzle link for Zazzle mugs and mouse pads. If you go to the tweakedaudio.com/40 link, you can get the autoerotic asphyxiation earbuds and the cock ring watches. And if you want to get a download set, which a lot of you have been doing recently, thank you so much. Year 1, Year 2, and Year 3 are available individually or as the Lord of the Schmidt set, where you would get the Fellowship of the Schmidt, the Two Schmitties, and the Return of the Schmidt all together under the Lord of the Schmidt set. Go ahead and pick that up. And if you want to just donate to the show, I'm blazing through this because I have talked way too much and you can hear my voice is shot. Upper left-hand corner at MikeSchmidtComedy.com. Every single page, there's a little Schmitty with a donate banner. Click on that. You can make a one-time donation to the show, or you can make a subscription donation of $2 a month, $5 a month, or $10 a month. I do appreciate anybody who donates, and I will mention you on the show if you do donate. People like David Earl Watson. This was his second donation. And when he's not busy donating to the show, he is out on a multi-state serial killer rampage. Because anyone with 3 names, as we know, especially David Earl Watson, he's you know what? He's going to go shoot Martin Luther King Jr.'s Jr., I think. Is he even around? I shouldn't say that. That's probably bad. David Earl Watson, this was his second donation to the show. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Warren Barth. He purchased a shirt in Milwaukee. That was him. I appreciate that, Warren. Thank you so much for showing up to the show. Second donation from our friend Martin K. That was also a Minneapolis shirt purchase. Thank you so much, Martin K. And then Manuel G or Manuel G. What do you think? I think Manuel. Probably Manuel G. Thank you so much for donating to the show. Christopher V. Thank you, Christopher V, for donating to the show. And Mark Stultz. Someone who wants me to say his full name on the show, Mark Stultz. He also purchased a Milwaukee shirt. Thank you so much. So this is David Earl Watson, his second donation. Warren Barth, Martin K., Manuel G., Christopher V., and our friend Mark Stultz. Thank you all so much for donating to the show. We certainly appreciate it. Go ahead and click on the banner. And I should tell you this. There will be San Francisco shirts, but I think we're going to do pre-orders. I don't think I'm going to order a bunch of San Francisco shirts and then hope to sell them. So if you want a San Francisco shirt, the design should be finalized soon, and I'll put it up on Facebook, and I'll let you be able to take a look at it, and maybe I'll even Twitter it, who knows. And you can go ahead and pre-order it, so then I can order it from the T-shirt place, and then everybody can have that. Because it's an experiment I'm trying. We'll see what happens. I might actually do that for the Kickstarter cities too. Who knows? We'll see what happens. Remember that I did the Battleship Retention podcast a couple of weeks ago. Our friends Tyler and David had me on with Bill Dwyer. That's still available for download. I recorded a couple of other podcasts, literally a month ago, I think. And once those are up, I'll tell you about them. There's a backlog. Look, not everybody can come and just do a 3-hour show once a week for you folks. Other people are smart, and they bank shows, and they don't care about topical references, and they go ahead and make the best shows that they possibly can. I just come here and fucking fire away, and then poor Lily has to do what she can with it. So yeah, I cannot believe that this show is this long. And just saying that makes it longer. I know it's stupid. I get that. But who knew? Who knew there'd be another cliffhanger? I had no idea there would be another cliffhanger. I came here fully intent to resolve the cliffhanger, folks, and I guess I've resolved a bunch of it. Is there even any point in resolving the rest of it? Probably not. You folks aren't even going to tune in. You don't want to hear any more about me and my job in New York, because it was my job. Make no mistake about it. That was my job in New York, is to go out there and do whatever I could, and then bring it to you. I'm trying to bring it to you. This is now my job, to bring it to you.
I am just stupid enough to think that when people listen to me and they listen to the show, they should take my honesty and go, oh, wow, how refreshing his unvarnished honesty is. And the fact that he's willing to have a scorched earth policy and have no friends or no fucking future is so refreshing and great. But then they'll say to me, hey, do you need somebody rigged for the stake? I go, yes, I do. Done. They'll take care of it for me. Thanks, Snake Rape. Oh, no one listens to show, bro? Wonder why? Wonder why no one listens to show, bro? I don't want to listen to show, bro. Please. Snake Rape, do it! Do it! Do it! Do it!